Welcome back to What Remains. This is session number 19, entitled City of Nock. Last session, the group finished their business in the town of Land's End, acquired a fancy new house, which had some strange mysteries to it. But the main thing that was of note was money. Sweet, delicious money, which they could now use. They decided as a group that instead of lingering about in the wildlands for any longer, they would head back to the seeming primary source of civilization, the city of Nock. Fortunately, due to their random encounter rolls, they made it back to the city without any issue. And in that, they are now just arriving. There were some exchanges, some getting to know you, also learning a bit more about one another on the way here, primarily between our pair of casters. That said, the group has arrived in the city. Based on the time that you left and the time that you're arriving, let's say that the time that you'd be basically entering into the city would be about 2-ish in the afternoon. So today won't technically be an activities day. You can perform a single activity, but it's not one that if you're performing an activity that would take durational time, like training and whatnot, it would not serve as such. However, you did spend 2 days on the road, 2 full days on the road, or on the water, and with that being said, 2 days of your training, Jonah, for Avrin would have been completed towards acquiring the punishing stance. So, if nobody has any other questions, you entered into the city through this boat, if I remember correctly. So you came in through the styes, which are kind of a port to the south, and you would have entered into the city on its southern side. Basically, a number of roads kind of lead into it. So you could technically enter in the south run gate or the east run gate, your choice. It doesn't really matter so much to say, but the one thing that will happen upon your entry is you will be stopped. Whoever is in the auto carriage. The carriage is allowed to enter in without issue.
I believe Gordir was driving the auto carriage is what was decided.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think Goldier is driving the auto carriage and
Yeah.
Avran's driving the horse and elk pushed pulled carriage.
And I want to
And
make
request a child to drive.
I want to make sure before we get this started that the lore is yours. If you come to a point where you're about to ask me a question like would I or do I or happen to, I genuinely probably won't care. If I interject and stop you from saying something, then that's going to be a lot better for me than if you're asking me if I have this or if I can do that. Just assume whatever your imagination can hold is a-okay with me. Unless it's like, Alton just suddenly starts flying up into the heavens above the city, emanating like raw, radiant, divine energies, and like, causing like a pure euphoria to all halflings, and everyone else dies. So
I love it.
if that kind of imagination, like, that's no good. But if I ask you if like you have something and you're not sure whether or not your character would have it, decide for yourself and go with that. Like this opportunity right now for improvisation. You're pulled over, Golradier, and the guardsman, markings of House Sereda on his person, kind of looks you over and says, "Hello, just want to make sure you have a license and registration for the vehicle for traveling inside of the city, please."
Oh, of course. Well, unfortunately, I'm mostly just returning this car. It was found abandoned in the town of Manus, and I was hoping that I could get the information of the return it to its proper people. Believe the driver that had it is
Perished.
deceased.
Did it have any paperwork inside of any of the compartment boxes there in the dashboard?
Kind of rummages around in it and
Yeah. So when you first pop open the compartment, kind of there next to the steering wheel and drive, kind of the first thing that happens is a dead hand falls out, as this has not been looked through yet, and kind of falls into the lap of whoever's in the passenger seat. If you want to try and obscure that, or how do you want to respond to a dead hand falling out of the glove compartment?
Well, how did I get there?
And and who would be in the passenger seat, if anyone?
I don't know. I think everyone else was traveling in the carriage.
Well, I don't think
But
I don't think
chalk.
Fiona or Malika kind of defined a place where they were in. The carriage itself, like the actual horse and carriage, would probably be better for seating than this sedan. But I mean, they could be in either vehicle.
I'd like to leave it up to Josie. Josie, you can pick wherever we were riding.
I feel like we were probably who was driving the auto carriage again?
So the auto carriage is being driven by Golradier, and we know that Averin is driving the carriage with Hezrod and Bafadil, at least. If not
Okay, I
Alton.
think we were. Okay, I think that the two of us would have just gone in the auto carriage then.
And you
with
two would be
Golradier.
sitting in the in the back seats, or okay, just
Yes.
talking back there.
Mhm.
Probably drinking Golradier's wine. That makes sense. And then Alton, last person for check. Are you with the are you with the fighter types, or are you with the caster types?
Probably the fighter types.
Okay, so you're in the carriage. All right.
Fair.
Cool. So no one's in the passenger seat. So Golradier, you're the only one who notices this happen. Do you want to try and like ferret that away, or do you just let it flop out?
Probably flop out and kind of like flick it away. Not particularly fond of.
You see him kind of confused, kind of looking at the dead hand. Can you step out of the
Not
car,
sure.
sir?
Doesn't it?
Of course.
And
Yeah.
you see him kind of make a gesture, and you see another guard kind of move to the other side of the vehicle, pull out a flashlight, and kind of start like inspecting the passenger seat.
You can take the hand. I don't know what it is or where it came from.
Fair enough. Do you have any documentation or anything? I don't mean to disparage you. It looks like you're probably
My own documents?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Of course.
Out his papers.
Okay, very good. And your passengers back there. Do you mind if we get some documentation from you, ladies?
Fiona kind of just upon realizing this interaction was going down, raises her head slightly and pulls out her notebook.
Mhm.
Not any kind of documentation, but she just kind of pulls it out, and if he would notice, she'd say, I do work at one of the libraries. Perhaps you've recognized the filigree?
I
Just
actually
kind of pull it back.
recognize you, Miss Woods. Yeah, I work at the Grand Library normally. I've seen you pass, not lately, but I've seen you before. Nods his head. And your associate, that's fine. We won't bother you. We would like for you to leave this item with us. We'll investigate this a little bit further. And he kind of scoops the other guy who's pulling the hand out of the vehicle, also kind of scoops up some papers and says, it's a House Montoulet vehicle. Oh. Put it back in the glove compartment then. Don't want to mess with anything that's theirs. It's probably some sort of protected item. It's not worth the trouble. The other guy goes, yeah, okay. They shove that all back into the glove compartment. You head straight down this way. Take a right after you pass over the first channel. Then once you pass over another channel, take a left. That should put you right into Montoulet Estates. You should be able to find someone. They usually have pretty tall hats. The guards folk over there, and just ask them where they want the vehicle taken.
Of course. Are they the ones with the blue and the yellow?
That's right.
Ah, yes. Easy to spot that yellow.
Fair enough. Well, enjoy. Now, this is all happening as the carriage is allowed to pass through, and I'm assuming that the carriage was kind of like towards the back due to speed and not wanting to run over carriages and horses. with
Yeah.
a mistake in driving of a, yeah. So,
The child was driving.
Me,
so
Child.
do you
Avron.
do you stop behind them or do you just go?
I initially slow down, and then whichever guard comes to the side of the carriage.
Oh, they don't mess with you.
Oh,
They wait.
okay.
If you stop behind the auto carriage, they wave you on. Like, this is
Gotcha.
official business. Keep moving.
All
Yep.
right, so yeah, I'm gonna pass around them, but before I leave, I'm gonna ask one of the guards.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know of anyone with the surname Normac?
Sorry, I'm not really. Not exactly. That's not what I do. But
Yeah.
good luck finding whoever you're looking for.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Just gonna mosey on. I'm just gonna like go maybe like 100 or so feet away, and then just wait.
Okay. Bafidil says, Avran, I think if you are wanting to make sure that the horses are comfortable without any problem, there's a stable not too far from here. I'm going into Russian. I don't know why I'm doing it. If
Da, comrade. Yes.
Davarish. There's a stable not too far from here. I'm familiar with them, and I think that I can go ahead and get it situated so that they take care of your horses for the time while we're here.
All right, wonderful. Thank you. So who's in? Is everyone in the carriage?
Everyone
Been
besides Gorodir, Fiona, and Malika.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so we're gonna go on to the stables. Yeah, we're going to go to the stables.
Okay. It's right near the entrance of the city,
Yep.
and you would note, Avran, you haven't been here for 60 years. It's very much different. Malika, as you're kind of, seeing the city, I mean, an auto carriage was a pretty kind of expansive thing, but you've already had descriptions of the city, of Nock.
Expansive.
There are, and for those of you who haven't, the buildings here are not small by any stretch of the imagination. Smallest building you'll probably see is anywhere in the 3 to 4 story department. They're made out of brick. They're made out of stone, also known as whetstone, which is the or liquid stone, which is the dwarven concrete equivalent in the setting. There are auto carriages kind of moving about. There is a trolley system that runs through the center of most of the roads that you're seeing here. And above you, kind of at higher points, there are staircases and kind of artifice that leads up to higher platforms, which connect to sky rails, which are massive kind of monorail kind of like trains that are suspended monorail systems. The city is very progressive.
This is all new to Avran.
Yeah, this would have been installed probably in the last like 30 years.
Yeah, Avran is just after parking, the horses and the elk. He's staring in amazement.
Yeah, it's a literal like it's a Demolition Man situation for you right now.
Yeah.
That being said, Hezrod, I don't think you made it to Nock proper, so this is the most technologically advanced city you've seen. But for you, the thing that's kind of striking is that some of the buildings, especially on the right side of the pass that you're kind of moving through initially, they appear to be made out of like natural materials. Looks like the brick is actually made out of like a compacted vegetation, which is really strange for you. That being said, those in the auto carriage, are you heading in the direction that he referred you to, or?
Hezrod walks up to this like sort of, you said compacted vegetation, like brick material. He walks up to one of these buildings and he like kind of scratches at it with his claw.
Okay.
And then he like sniffs it.
It's quite solid. Like it'd be basically like like scratching like a brownstone or a redstone, and you smell at it, and it definitely has kind of like a fungal smell.
And then he licks it.
It definitely tastes like nothing.
Okay.
Actually, it tastes worse than nothing. It probably tastes like
urine.
You work in like kind of you've worked with like have you ever worked with concrete?
Yeah.
You know that feeling after working with concrete for a long time, your hands get really dry and your throat gets really dry? That's
Yeah.
the sensation your tongue has on it now.
Gross. Yeah.
It's a bad
He like licks it
sensation.
and he like smacks his lips and then he says, "Gross."
It's definitely building
Gross.
material and not edible.
Fungal building material.
He
Concrete.
walks back to the wagon like, "Blah, blah, blah."
Don't eat it.
Avron's gonna ask Injustice Fighter. So, where to now, friend?
Well, I have some business that I have to handle, but if you are wishing to continue your training with me, I will be easy to find. I have a boat that I am allowed in when I am within the city. It's in the Magic District, not too far from House Dagot, not too far from the river. I will go ahead and write you some directions and the address as well. Hands you a piece of paper and notating it on the map. Hold on a second. My computer's doing a thing.
It okay.
The header of this little thing that he hands you states Ashtar Temple, and I just made the. You should be able to see it.
Yes. Yes.
All right, perfect. So that's where you'll be spending your days if you continue your training.
Okay.
And remember, your training does not have to be 5 days in a row. It just needs to be a total of 5 days before you get the stance.
Gotcha. We're
Cool.
gonna do it 5 days in a row, though.
Well, yeah, we've done 2 already, so 3 more would be the ticket.
Yeah.
Okay. So, back to Golridir, since you are driving. Where would you like? I mean, you are going the direction that they gave you, right?
Yes.
Okay. As you kind of drive through the city, you'll note that the buildings on the right side do seem to be more made out of the strange brick I mentioned. But the thing that you also notice is that there's a lot of ornamentation. There are lanterns that are apparently made out of gold. Some of them appear to be kind of just swept up, kind of wire filaments of gold that have been kind of brought together in these really ornate kind of shapes. About kind of bright, glowing, magical lanterns in their center. The whole place, as you kind of take the direction that you were given, definitely does have like a certain richness to it. And you know, the city, you've been here before. I don't think you've probably, I don't think you've had many interactions with Module or been in this neighborhood often. But you've been in the Golden District because you know their markets in the kind of closer to the wall side are very they're massive, and pretty much everything from all over the world kind of ends up in this space. But you drive through in the directions that you were given, and you eventually see that there's a very massive building ahead of you that appears to be made of 13 massive spires and like towers with spires set atop of them. They appear to have a very kind of blade-like shape to them, almost as if they're kind of obelisk-like and not perfectly round or spindle-like towers. The architecture here is very jagged and very menacing, I guess is the best way to say it. And Fiona, you've passed through these parts before. You would know that the Montelay Manor is the one that you're looking at, the main place of operations. And as you're kind of driving up that way, you see a man with a very bright blue cap kind of wave his hand out to you. And in his right hand, he appears to be holding a staff that's about 10 feet long, made out of some sort of white stone-like material.
None shall pass.
As you approach him, he stops you and kind of looks into the window and says, "Can I help you?"
Yes, I was actually just attempting to return this car, and I guess this is a car owned by one of the Montelays, and I wanted to return it. Found it in Manus. I believe the person who had been driving it is now deceased. Did bury him, give him a proper Osirian funeral, so no worries there. Yes, here's the car. We did our best to take care of it.
He just kind of blinks at you. Okay, well, you've returned the vehicle then. You may go.
Just leave it here.
That is fine.
Okay. Thanks to the ladies. Do you anywhere you would like to go? We take the train or rail.
Do you step out of the vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. And the same is true for Fiona and Malika?
I think so. Yeah.
Suddenly, Malika is like 98 years old. She's kind of like, and sort of kind of grasps at Fiona for support because this whole Nock thing is just blowing her little mind.
She's a
little
frontier
country
girl.
bumpkin.
Yep. As you all get out of the vehicle, Fiona, you would notice that the Cardinal, which is the Montulay guards, kind of reaches into his cloak, pulls out a red stone, and kind of holds it as it starts to glow. You would know that's a Servitor Stone, so he's calling over a Servitor. And the Montulay have things that they call Servitors, which are basically prisoners of the Montulay guards folk who have basically been who've been sentenced to death, and their bodies, not in an undead fashion, have been made to serve.
Lovely.
Okay.
And
it's dark.
That is dark.
I think she just kind of look at the situation, turn to Gloridir and say, well, I'd like to be getting back to my library, so this was nice, but I should be going. She'll just kind of turn to sit back inside of the wagon thing.
Oh, you're getting kicked out of the auto carriage.
Yeah.
Right, so she'll kind of look behind her to like where the wagon. I'm assuming that they're approaching us, or
No,
they
stopped.
We parked. We parked a long time ago.
Kind of look.
You're walking, sweetie.
She'll look back to where it used to be, and with like longing, and turn back. I don't suppose you have any other form of transportation for rent or to borrow, perhaps.
As you're
take a trolley.
As you're kind of asking him that, he's kind of holding the red stone above his head. You hear kind of like a nasty, kind of feral, kind of wing batting above you. And as you kind of look up to the sky, you see kind of dropping down from those jagged spires I mentioned, what appears to be a humanoid form, which is kind of bound with kind of metal, like wiring, just kind of pulling the skin kind of taut back, and massive kind of bird wings on its back. Fiona, you're able to denote that the wings that this creature seems to be flying upon happen to be those of a giant eagle that have been kind of torn from it and bound to this. It lands, its wings fold up behind it, and the Servitor, the Cardinal, kind of looks to the Servitor, points to the vehicle, and without saying a word, kind of gestures with the redstone. The winged creature gets into the car like it was a perfect valet, and then drives the auto carriage away.
Fancy.
That's disturbing.
Is this PG-13 Hellraiser?
It doesn't look. It definitely doesn't look as like. It definitely looks like its flesh is kind of bound back by the wires, but it doesn't look like it's like a horror show kind of version of what I said. It literally kind of just looks strange. Like, I guess the best way to kind of describe it is if you're familiar with the game Soul Calibur. If you know who Voldo is, kind of he has that look to him, like but with wings.
No. I got you.
I did make it sound a little bit more Hellraiser than I thought I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a teensy bit, just a little bit.
Good.
It's one of my favorite movies.
Same though.
Same.
Too creepy.
Okay, well,
Can't help it.
teacher's own. So you're left out in the streets of the Montelay district, or Montelay section of the Golden District. Not too far from here, you can see a trolley station. Not too far from here, you can see an ascent up to an auto care or to a Skyrail position.
Well, I guess we have to take public transportation. And she'll kind of
Oh,
nod.
exciting.
She'll go to gesture up towards there and turn to the rest of them. Oh, forgive me, do either of you know how to use a trolley, or are you both completely ignorant?
Gloridier, you
Oh,
know
I've-
how.
Yeah, I've come here for vacation. I love taking the trolley and I love taking the sky rail. You get the best views of the city up there on the sky rails.
A trolley. Is that like a flying broom? I don't understand.
One would pass by you at about this point. It appears to be a carriage, but on metal wheels that's going on a single position and has no apparent power source.
Malika does
And
not know. that is a
Gordir
trolley.
points and it's like,
Oh,
that.
okay. Oh,
So, what is the brightest, noisiest part of the city?
You would have no idea from your current position. Are you asking someone else?
I
know a guy.
I'm waiting for it. Like, if whatever part of the city looks like it has the most shit happening.
Okay. So, Alton, yeah, that's a good way of doing it. You know a guy. You want to know a place to go that would be fun and bright and exciting?
Yeah,
Sure.
we could go talk to my Uncle Greenwich, my great uncle,
Here.
Diggy.
Okay.
He
My
knows
Uncle
everything
Diggy.
about this place.
Go
Okay.
introduce Hezrod to some people with good alcohol and people he can fight for money.
All right. Would the Steel District have any of that?
The Steel District is pretty much industrial. But yeah, I mean, there's partying everywhere. It's a city. So,
Is there underground fight clubs in the Steel District for Hezrod?
you would actually
What's
know.
the number one rule of Fight Club?
You would know nothing about underground fight organizations.
I thought House or Meridian
They
would
don't
know about
they don't-
everything about this.
They don't do fight clubs.
You know.
They do assassination.
Assassination clubs?
No, we're
First
not a club.
rule of Assassination Club is you don't talk about assassination.
Right.
Club.
Truly.
Fiona, you were gonna say something?
Sorry, before we leave though, I think Fiona would think for a second, reach into to talk to Seymour and manifest her hawk again back from the plane he was hiding out in.
Okay.
And speaking to both at the same time, she'll say, would you mind perhaps trailing after that creature we saw? I'm a bit curious.
The bird will. Okay.
And she'll send it after. And saying to Seymour, did you recognize that jewel by any chance?
Well, actually, no, I can't say that I did. It did seem to be a strange piece of magical work, but not something I'm well aware of. I'm sorry.
She'll just kind of shrug. It's all right. That's why I work in a library. And she'll, after having her hawk pursue the strange... It would look like a man, though, right? Not a bird, or it would completely look like a bird.
It was a man with bird wings, and yeah, like I said, the stone that the Cardinal activated, you would know is it's a Servitor Stone. It basically is a control stone for servitors, which are things that House Montelay creates, which are not seen as complete abominations by Osaria proper because they're not technically undead; they're constructs. They're flesh.
Right. I guess I'm just wondering if she would have known if it does any other properties other than controlling them, or if it's just
controls one specific servitor. Yeah.
Only one. Okay. That's good to know. Yeah, she'll just kind of send her hawk off and return to the other two, kind of hoping they didn't notice.
They absolutely noticed because they are one of them is the most perceptive members of the party.
Just kind of. So the trolley. It is a great view. Great view of the city. I'll get us 3 tickets. She'll start heading that way.
Meanwhile, Allison, you're heading towards the Steel District and leading your friends to kind of somewhere where something fun can happen. Okay?
Actually.
And yeah, Avran, you're not doing that?
No.
Okay.
Avran is going to attempt to get to House Alistair.
Okay. Absolutely fine. So you're asking a lot of questions and trying to search around for that. That's fine. Okay. And Fiona, you're basically leading them via trolley to the Grand Library, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So before we were buy our tickets, Malika would ask Fiona and Goldier if they know just a place in like the Magic District, a quiet inn, somewhere to park, maybe somewhere near a magic shop or something.
Oh, well, I know some people in the Green District.
Malika is totally overwhelmed
Yeah.
and just needs to like hide.
Actually, Goldier knows of a great inn/spa in the Green District called the Emerald Paradise.
Fiona would kinda, after hearing that name, Fiona would kind of like roll her eyes. They don't have as good of rates. If you're looking for the Magic District, I actually do know a tavern called Elmwood, and it's run by my parents. So I'm sure they'd offer us a good rate.
Oh, but your parents?
A kind of like small smile would cross her face. Yes, we don't really talk much, but I'm sure they'll be happy to see me. And as she says that, there's like a very noticeable blush kind of cross her face, and she looks rather embarrassed, actually.
I think it will be a lovely visit to go see your parents, Fiona. I'm sure they're lovely people just like you.
Yes, they are great. Library first, though. And she'll like start steering them clearly toward the trolley.
Yep. As you kind of hop on and it kind of makes its course, from Montoulet, it kind of has to make its way back into kind of the main thoroughfare. The strip between the Magic and the Golden. And since it's taking Avran a couple of moments to actually figure out what's going on, eventually someone says to you, Avran, look, just go over there to that trolley station, stand there and wait for the red line. They'll take you straight to the center of the city. Once you're in the courthouse, just get out and go east. You should see a big white building, massive white building compared to these other buildings. It's just massive and white, and that's the way you want to go.
All right.
He goes west.
Thank you, stranger.
East? I thought you said west.
So when you get onto the trolley, you'll note that Fiona, Goldier, and Malika are all on the same trolley.
Oh.
Hey.
Hey. Hello.
Hello, you guys.
Where'd Hezrod go?
Well, Alton and Hezrod are heading in a different direction. They are heading up north to the Steel District.
Right. That's why he's asking where they went.
Oh,
I believe they went to look in. They went to go look for some merrymen.
Merrymen.
That just sounds like trouble.
Oh no, which district did they head to?
I believe this something called Steel, the Steel District.
So just to put something into concept, I want to make sure you folks are understanding. The city is about 4 or 5 miles wide by about 4.5 miles, 5 miles, tall. In square mileage, it has the same exact square mileage as the city of San Francisco, and the population is approximately the same. So I just want to make sure you understand what you've just done. You split the party with no means of communicating amongst one another in a very massive city.
Yes.
It's going to be very unlikely that anyone finds anyone unless you go to a common source.
I told them
there's always a bar.
Library.
I told them about the Ashtar Temple. That Baffadil or Injustice Fighter will be there.
Okay.
and that's where Avern will be spending his nights and days training.
And now that you have them, lucky enough, everyone knows where they can meet up in the focus of Avran.
Except for... Oh.
Yeah, you're there as well.
Everyone. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, now everyone knows, because
Right.
Avern would have told you guys too.
Hearing
That's
that,
the kind-
hearing that,
Hezrod
Fiona would kind of chime in and say, are you sleeping at the temple, Avran?
Yes.
All right. Well, just so you know, there is an inn in town in the Magic District called Elmwoods, and I perhaps know the people who own it, so we might be staying there as well.
It's her parents. It's her parents that own it.
Yes, it is
Oh,
my
It's my
parents.
roommates.
Your parents.
We'll have to pick them up a bottle of wine before we go see them.
Ah,
They
I
love-
still have.
Only polite.
I still
I
have.
do need to go at
from-
least one day to the Emerald Paradise, though.
I still have
Alright.
what we took from the our abode in that town, and I pull out one of the wizardly ales, or the
Hey.
wizardly wine, and I just say, "Here, give this to them." You know, I prefer they have it.
She kind of smiles at that and quickly tucks it away. Again, she's like bright red, and she quickly tries to like pull up her cloak. Well, anyway, I just wanted to let you know in case I don't know the bed bugs or something, and you needed a place to stay. So
It's fine. Thank you, Fiona.
To double make sure, the hawk was from Find Familiar, right?
yes,
Okay, so you would feel a ping right about now, which lets you know that the thing is no longer on this plane of existence. This is about when you're about to wind up to the court, the main 10-seated court in the center of the city.
So we're like
This is-
right there.
Basically, from when you dispatch the creature, it would be about half an hour to an hour between then and then. So it's not because of a durational thing or anything. The spell seems to have been terminated by some other force.
Oh shit.
immediately feeling that, she would start to go pale. It's just, she just looks such a fucking fun mess, just a mess. There's like cold sweat accumulating, and as she feels
Are
that,
you okay?
yes, I think I need to speak to my master as soon as possible.
That
Did
is
you
at
want to
the-
accompany us to the library, Avran, or what were you doing? Oh, the temple, right. She seems very flustered. It doesn't seem like she's really
It's-
processed much.
It's okay. I will meet you at the Elmwood Tavern tonight. And then tomorrow morning I will go to the temple. Make sure
Shoot.
everything's all right.
She nods her head and says, if you run into those two, please let them know as well about the tavern, or we can all meet at your place as well.
Yes, yeah. I'll make sure to let them know.
As you're talking, kind of like you're about to split off paths or something, you both realize that you're walking the same direction away from the courthouse.
Oh. Oh shit.
Oh, goodbye. Oh,
And
wait.
you kind of
we're
come to
still-
this point where you see a massive, like kind of arch. It's basically made out of all marble. It seems to be kind of cleft into with a really ornate kind of statuing on its pillars and on its top. There's a golden statue centered at the top of it, which appears to be a woman holding a book outstretched towards the court, and in her left hand she's holding an orb.
Fancy.
Is this where you're headed as well?
Beyond the archway, you would see that there is a massive white building, which meets the description that you were given. The building itself appears to be made out of the most perfect Osirian white marble, or at least coated in such, and it seems to be flying banners of House Alustair, which you would know is also the Keepers of Knowledge for the entirety of the city, the Keepers of Lore, and the Grand Library is upon House Alustair's campus.
I did not know that.
You did not, but Fiona does.
She'll kind of look at him. Oh, is that the temple you were referring to?
Oh no, I'm
The
here
chicken.
on personal business.
The cockatrice, but yes.
That's a
it's-
cockatrice.
I'm actually here to see someone or see if they exist.
As you're splitting up at that point, I'm going to cut from you real quick and snap back to our other folks.
Fight Club!
Alton, you are a master of traveling in the city. You don't have any issues. You say, we're going to take the Sky Rail, we're going to make our way straight to the Steel District, we're going to walk around where we want to walk around, no issues. Hezron, on the other hand, is nervous and basically being guided along by you because he has no idea what's happening.
Daddy,
He gets
Daddy.
he gets into the Sky Rail, and he's now, dozens, if not 100 or so feet above the ground as you zip across the city, attached to what appears to be nothing more than, like a fist-sized metal pipe above you. It is definitely a different, very unnerving circumstance for someone who's spent their entire life under the sea.
I thought being on the ground was weird.
This is the closest to flying I think you've gotten.
No, I have actually.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You did fly down a mountain. I recall. But eventually, Alton does lead you into Steel District. Now, you do, of course, have the contact that you just made up. Your uncle, Diggy, I believe you said his name was.
Yep.
Um,
Great uncle Diggy.
Or you could, of course, try and deal with some business, but you do have a massive merfolk with you. It's your call how you want to operate, Alton.
Well, since we don't have any way of communication, and Hezrod likes to wander.
I will let you know, there's probably a couple of techniques you're not familiar with, not being kind of a thiefly type in real life. There are methods for you to basically deposit messages or deposit transactions without having to talk to anyone. These are called dead drops. And basically, you would know there are markings around the city, specifically in the Steel District, which indicate places where you can pass off items of importance with messages, gesture certain ways to indicate to other individuals to receive those items, and basically transfer a lot of kind of information and articles of importance without actually bringing any attention to yourself. This is what Thieves Can't, the class feature you have, basically entails.
But I don't also want to let this ring I have go.
Well, you would know that if you deposit it into a Mardican safe house, you'll be paid what you're owed. It's not going to be a situation where someone's going to steal it from you. Honor amongst thieves.
Okay.
And especially honor amongst people who stab people for a living.
All right, I'll just place it in a dead drop.
Okay.
In one of the safe houses and show Hezrod around. We go find the nearest bar.
Okay. The nearest bar is a place called the Crystallis, which you remember kind of being not a bad location to kind of stop and drink at. But when you get there, it does look like there's a bunch of markings on it that indicate that it is closed. And from what you can tell, there are a lot of indicators that some sort of conflict happened within. And a lot of folks kind of are just steering clear of it. It's kind of right there on the canalway. But there's not a lot of folks who are kind of operationally close to it at all, which is strange and not something you remember being the case when you left, several weeks ago.
What's I say, well, Hezrod, this is my favorite bar. It's closed for some odd reason. Shall we investigate? Because who knows what could have happened inside of there. We could find somebody that you can beat up.
Yeah, he certainly looks confused when Alton's like, "This is my favorite bar," and Hezrod's like, "Why? It's closed." Like, and he's like, "Oh, it appears closed," and Hezrod's like, "Yeah, that is a problem."
I mean, there are definitely
now-
other places that you can see with an eyesight, like that look like they're basically watering holes, a hole in the wall kind of situations. But this place looked nice. It's just no longer nice because it has a bunch of effectively police tape that's been kind of lined out around it.
Interesting.
Hezrod, yeah, he's definitely more interested in getting a drink. So he kind of looks at Alton strangely and he says, "I'm going over here. This one is open." And he just walks into the nearest one he can see.
Okay.
Let's go.
You head on over to it, and it's an interesting enough place called the Suckerfish. You enter into it. It's right there on the canalway. Basically, it is probably no bigger than the bedroom that you're in or the office that you're in. It is a bar kind of dividing the room entirely. On the back wall behind one guy is a bunch of different bottles and such, and kind of like just leaning with his elbow, looking at another patron besides you two, is this very elderly looking Saryujan man, kind of just staring at this patron who appears to be just like a really kind of elderly, but like trying to fake like he's young kind of guy, who's just kind of drinking pretty much constantly from the second you see him to whatever moment you start talking to him or not. Like he is drinking, if not, if I don't say he's doing something else. The bartender kind of looks up at you, slightly interested, and says, "Can I help you?"
Yes, I want a drink. Something good. Something very good.
He reaches over, places a piece of parchment out in front of you, which is just filled with a bunch of common words. Each word, which again to Hezrod would make no sense at all, next to it has a price. Alton, you would realize that the suckerfish appears to be kind of a high-end kind of alcoholic procurer. The beverages in question are not things that you buy and drink. They're things that you buy and kind of savor for the tastes. These are a lot of cocktail drinks that have been kind of placed on this menu here.
I say, I don't think we want to drink here. It's overpriced, and you won't get your bang for your buck.
You see him, the barkeep kind of look at you and says, "Oh, now that the Crystallis is gone, you paupers can't drink. Apologies."
What happened to the Crystallis?
Apparently a death cult was found in operation underneath it. Seems quite likely since they serve such swill that kills its patrons. If
You
want,
take that back.
I won't.
Okay, that's fine.
If you would like to, cracks his knuckles, see what would be true drinking and true pleasure, I can, of course, display a number of fineries. You are from the coastal regions, is that right? He says as he looks to Hezrod.
Yes.
I will serve you a drink. If you don't like it, you won't have to pay for it. Is that more than fair?
Very well.
But if you do like it, you have to buy it and your friend a drink.
Very well.
Can I test it for roofies?
No, it's not a thing. don't make it weird. You see him very quickly, but still very precisely prepare a drink. And when he sets it out in front of you, it's completely clear. And he smiles. This is what is known as a Dragon's Coast sunrise. And it's called that because... Flicks the glass. The second he does, you see this kind of blanch of red kind of appear in the center of the drink. And then it kind of starts glowing in the middle like a bright sun. And then the drink kind of mellows out to a nice orange coloration. Enjoy.
Hezrod watches what essentially looks like a mini fireball appear like inside his drink.
Oh.
He's like, oh, and then it's gone, and he looks kind of confused and disappointed, and then he picks it up and sniffs it, and then knocks it back and drinks it.
On the scent, it kind of has a smell of if you've ever been out like on the coast and just like caught a whiff of like sea air. That's kind of the flavor that you're getting with hints of mint. And when you kind of take the drink back, the best kind of analogy I can give you is like a more potent mojito with like just like a brightness that kind of like I can't really explain. Very good though.
Yeah, it does sound tasty.
If it's something that Hezrod would like, is your choice.
Definitely. That does sound very good. But he doesn't understand how he can't just have like a bucket of this stuff.
Well,
that's the point of the drinking that he doesn't get.
Hezrod, make an intelligence check.
Just raw intelligence.
Yep. Yeah. So you are absolutely sound in the inquiry that you're asking. Why can't I just have a bucket of this stuff? Now,
right.
Alton, being smart, saw all of the things that went into this drink, saw all of the craft that went into this drink and the care, and also the liquors that were being used were stuff that you've stolen from nobles' houses before during your gutter snipe days. So like, this isn't cheap. This is good stuff, but at the same time, like, if you're just looking to get drunk, this is not the most efficient way of doing it.
I say we pay for one drink, or how I pull
He already-
Hezrod aside.
Yeah, Hezrod already lost the bet. Like, that's a very
Okay.
good drink.
So
And I say we take this drink, and then we shall find somewhere else
the drink that
for
you
Hezrod's taste.
are paying for, the Dragon's Coast Sunrise, is 5 gold pieces for just it. And
Yep,
the
he's
cheapest
going to-
the cheapest drink you can find on the menu for Alton is 2 gold pieces.
So he's gonna. So he drinks the first one. He likes it. He's gonna buy 2 more.
Mm.
And then he's gonna tip the guy 5 gold on top of that.
Holy shit. Okay. And are you buying Alton drink or just...
That's what the other 2 are for.
Okay.
So he's buying 2 more. One more for Hezrod and 1 for Alton.
all Dragon Coast Sunrises?
Yes.
Okay. Ping, ping,
So
ping.
3 total.
Yeah, so ping, ping. He kind of hits the 2 glasses. They do the same. And he takes the coin and kind of smiling says,
All in all, it's a good experience for Hezrod.
I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And if you're ever interested in other options, he gestures to the menu. I am quite skilled in the craft.
How long? I asked the barkeep, how long did the chrysalis go under?
It's about 6 days ago, maybe?
Okay.
Not too
You
long.
just missed him.
From what I understand, there was a conflict just before it happened. A group, some merfolk, some other individuals that entered into the tavern and then fought. There were also trolls involved. I remember that. Quite a mess. I shuddered up the second I saw it was happening and didn't keep too much of an eye on it. Birgit here is familiar with the area and used to drink there, but now he's spending his wealth a little differently. Isn't that right, Birgit? And he kind of smiles. It's a lot better swill than they had over at the Chrysalis, is for sure. He looks faced, and whatever he's drinking is like this pink, kind of just very brilliantly vibrant kind of drink that he's drinking, and he seems to be just fucking loving it.
That's all I got. I can't. My brain's all foggy right now.
No worries.
So
yeah, the drink is quite good, but as you kind of sit there and finish those, I'll switch back to the group on the other side. We're going to do the divide. So Avran, you're trying to find purchase in the actual house Alistair, and Fiona and company, you're moving towards the Grand Library. No other divides, or are you sticking with those 2 kind of groups? Okay. Then we'll deal with Avran. That should be the shortest matter. You walk up towards House Alistair. 2 guards with shields, similarly emblazoned, kind of move out to you. They're wearing complete mithril suits of armor, and the blades that they hold in their hands, kind of just straight up and aloft, like pieces on a chessboard, are also apparently made of mithril as well. They cross their blades as you approach, and the one on the left says, "Your purpose is here."
Hello. I'm here looking for a melody, Alistar.
I don't believe that I am at liberty to allow you access. May I ask who's calling upon Melody Alistair?
Avran, Normac.
Please wait here. And you see
When he leaves, I'm just gonna make casual chit chat with the other guy, trying to get some information.
I don't know if you've ever been to England, but
Oh,
similarly,
they don't speak.
yeah,
Fuck.
it seems like they only speak when they have purpose to do so. But it doesn't look like he is very forthcoming in dialogue. That being said, it's not terribly long after the guy leaves that he returns. Melody Alistair cannot currently receive visitors. She says that by your name she does recognize you and would like to speak with you. She asks if you are available for tea within the next 6 days.
Yes. Could you let her know that I am staying at Elderwood Tavern, or the Ashtar Temple?
Apologies, I don't think you understand how this works. She has a specific time slot available on her schedule for the next 6 day for tea. What day of the next 6 day would you prefer to meet with Miss Melody?
As soon as possible. Tomorrow, even.
Tomorrow, then. Be here at noon.
Okay, thank you.
I'll have you know a tea party pretty much kills your activities for the day, so...
That's fine.
Okay. Cool. Handled. That was easy. Most of yours is just waiting, to be completely honest. Switching back over to Fiona and Co. So Fiona, you enter back into the library. This is the first time in a long time. Very little issue with you kind of gaining admittance and securing admittance for the two that you bring with you. It's as you remember it. And you're seeking out who exactly?
Professor Corrigan.
Okay. And you do manage to find out that Professor Corrigan is available. He is in the... he's kind of in general study. And you eventually come to find him in a study room by himself. Kind of looks up to you. Lady Woods, I thought you had been lost. Gravesend had mentioned that their guide had been found quite in an ill state on the road. I'm glad that you are fine.
She gives like a small bow before reaching into her bag, and she pulls out the Montoulet altar cloth first. And as she unfurls it in front of him, she starts pulling out her notebooks, and there's like this gleam of like somewhat manic excitement. She starts like rattling off. You wouldn't believe it. I came upon this altar, and I found all of this amazing. There were 3 different robes, and when I wore the red robe, and then when I went through the wall, and she'll just keep kind of like prattling on and on.
So you made it to the Montoulet Barrow, all right. I'm sorry. These companions of yours. He stands up and kind of walks over to introduce himself. The gentleman before you is probably in his 40s, maybe his 50s. He definitely has a very bookish look to him. He is balding. Hold on, I'm trying to get the handout, and for some reason I am having issues.
Give us the pictures.
I do have a doodle of him, so yeah.
Give us the doodle.
I'm trying.
Doodle.
But why though? How did it get
When he
lost?
introduces themselves, Fiona like stops talking for a moment and is like momentarily reminded that they both exist and are there.
Yeah. So he would go through the pleasantries that are typical of elves of the land of Myr with Golradir. And honestly, he does a bit of name dropping, which is kind of interesting. You would note that a couple of the other nobles in your circles back in Myr appear to be people he is aware of, at least tangentially. So, yeah. And you can remember actually coming to the Grand Library once or twice in your trips here. Like it's a pretty cool place for people who, like sitting back with a nice, book and, goblet of wine. Not saying that that's something you would be interested in or anything.
Definitely would have snuck a bottle or two in.
Definitely something you've done.
I mean, Gordy would never do that.
But he kind of goes through these pleasantries very curtly, but very he's
business oriented.
Yeah, he's very business oriented in it, and it seems like he's kind of cutting corners to kind of speed up the process, because you can see that his eyes keep kind of shifting back to Fiona. Are you taking anything else out of your bag as you kind of set it out on the table, okay? So yeah, he seems to be very easily distracted, and kind of walks over to Malika and in common. He says, "I am Professor Corgan, and you are."
You're muted. Zizo, you're muted.
Still muted.
I'm Ms. Wild Warren. You can call me Malika, of course. I'm
Kind of
a
places.
midwife traveling.
He kind of places his finger on his chin and goes, accent. Seems to be kind of west of here. Taw? Are you around in those parts?
Out of character,
You're from the
think so.
Westerlands,
Maybe I am.
so Taw is kind of to the west-south. That's your choice. If you want to be from Taw, or if you want to be from the West Marches, if you want to be from here, we'll pull up the map and you can kind of. Why is it so loud when I click on something and it hates me? Hold on a second. Let me get the picture of the guy, and then then we'll do the map switch. I can only do one thing at a time, apparently.
I'm
Thanks.
from around there. Yes.
The accent is definitely very telling to that. Well, a very interesting lot from those from that part of the world. It's a pleasure to have you here in the Grand Library, and of course, I afford you the same rights and privileges that Fiona would be offered. Looking to Fiona as to see if that's like something that she's okay with, because again, he doesn't know the social situation between you and these two.
Yeah, as he's looking to her, she kind of gives a curt nod and then pulls out the like fetus slug.
You
thing.
see him kind of like, and then he kind of says, "Well, okay, it was a pleasure."
Where did you get another one of those?
That was
No,
the
it's
only
it's
one.
the
The
it's
only
the
one,
one.
same one.
Yeah.
We put it in. She put it in a jar.
The one that Hezrod squished?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
squished
put-
and then put it in a jar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Wow.
she
Gross.
saves some money. Listen, she's a researcher. Okay, she's not gonna let a perfectly good, horrific
Specimen.
entity go to waste.
Absolutely.
Just
Truly.
saying, Hezrod had the right idea. No saying God created that thing.
True.
That's
Yeah,
accurate.
that's exactly why she kept it. That's exactly why.
So he kind of like moves over to the table and sits back down with you, kind of looking over all the things. And I'm assuming you're gonna go over all of the items, right? Or is there
Yeah.
anything that you're kind of keeping? Kind of.
I would go over all of them, statue, everything, the orichalcum, like everything.
Mm.
And she would probably even start sharing her notes and the things she spoke of. Although she would not mention the method of how she spoke.
Do you mention anything about trying to think. The Lady of the Deep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. She would have mentioned the pearl turning into this situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're basically unloading, like giving him the full campaign synopsis. Okay.
Yeah.
He completely flabbergasted from his appearance. Kind of is looking over the items and is very thoroughly confounded. This is very interesting matters, to be sure. I'm trying to find a connection between your initial course of study, but I assume you just got caught up with a bit of wanderlust, as most folks who hit the road do. The barrow wasn't enough of an intrigue for you, it seems. He kind of grins. Very interesting, to be sure. I had heard some rumor of something happening to the west regarding the mountains you spoke of, but no mention of Egaion. A very interesting matter, to be sure. That said, there was a reported sighting of a massive creature to the south of here. Apparently, a massive kraken's corpse was washed up on shore. Quite a horrifying matter, to be certain. That said, it might have been the case that your Lady of the Deep had something to do with that. I would need more time and study to be certain, but I'm sure that there are books or tomes within that have some information regarding this thing that you seek. What for you is the most important kind of positional kind of focus of the things you've gathered? Because there's a lot here.
Yes, there's a lot here. And so, although all the recent adventurous stuff is quite interesting, Lady the Deep, at her core, she still has her personal things. So she's specifically looking at that statue, what potentially could be inside of it.
Very
if
hard
he-
to very hard to say regarding that. Orichalcum is a very hard material to move. I only know of one person in one location that I can think of that would even have a possibility of being capable of utilizing any kind of techniques to manipulate it, perhaps open it. That said, there are also alternative methods. There are certain pieces of artifice that might be capable of clefting the metal entirely. I do believe that the swords of the 10 houses would be capable of cutting orichalcum.
She starts like writing this down as he speaks, but also her eyes kind of start gleaming as well. Who would you mind telling me who is capable of something like that?
Well, the masters of the houses would be the ones who hold those weapons. They're kind of significant items for such folk. I know that the swords were crafted in the earlier aspects of the city's formation as a retort against those that would attack and assail the city. So typically the masters of those houses have those. I don't think I can get you an audience with the master of House Alustair, but it's the only house that I really have any connections with. Honestly, if you could get access to one of those swords, you could definitely give it a try, but I'm pretty certain they have the capability of cutting through anything, orichalcum included.
She kind of nods and pauses for a moment. I suppose that means that the House of Montalais would also possess one of these swords.
Correct.
Where can I get me one of those?
Out of character, you would know that the swords of the 10 houses, also known as the swords of retort, are basically very powerful legendary magic items that were crafted in the earlier ages of Nock's formation. Out of character, they are statistically identical to swords of answering.
Well, okay. Interesting. I think she would absolutely like think about all of the houses and pause for a moment and kind of now lowering her voice and kind of scooching closer into him say, and I don't suppose if you know any news of any goings on with the houses, any recent deaths that have made the news.
You know I keep out of politics. I don't enjoy them.
Kind of scrunches her nose, but nods, remembering and trying to respect that.
I'm not terribly interested in the
Ugh,
matters.
It's creepy.
I mean, awesome.
Looks like Billy.
Yeah, it does look
Reminds
like
me of Vigo the Carpathian.
also
She
Vigo the
actually-
Carpathian.
She thinks for a moment and she turns back to Golradier and says, wait, Dig, you said you went to the Steel District.
Did.
Didn't
Well,
he say
Avron said
something
he
about
did.
knowing an uncle or something about... Do you think he knows anything about the gossip?
I'm sure he might. I mean, seems to be a little bit in the same field as my wife, so usually know the goings on.
She kind of pauses for a moment, kind of sighs, and turns back to Professor Oregon for nodding. Well, thank you. I'll trust you to do more research regarding the Kraken situation. But in terms of the sword,
the Kraken situation. It wasn't really a situation. I believe there were a couple of mercantile folk who tried to plunder the corpse of it, but it really wasn't much of a situation with a Kraken. It's just a dead body. Regarding whatever killed it, the sightings say it was similar to what you just described, and also what you've shown here, just in a much grander scale.
Right, sorry, I misspoke. I meant if you had any more information about what that entity is.
Oh yes, I will do some research, and of course you are welcome to come and research as your at your leisure. Anything that you'd like to seek out knowledge-wise is, of course, at your fingertips here in the Grand Library. But I will do some discourse and see if I can't find anything regarding this Lady of the Deep that you speak of.
I have a question.
Yeah, I have answers.
Can I send a messenger?
No, but
No.
I'm about to resolve all of your problems here in a second.
Okay.
All right. So, anything else, Fiona?
The last thing she would say is kind of, and maybe she would already know this, so correct me if she already would, but she kind of like think for a moment. Again, I know your stance on politics, but you wouldn't happen to know anyone who's more in the know?
No, not really. I mean, your parents keep close to gossip, but not.
Again, this look crosses her face, and she just kind of like sighs deeply.
But,
Right,
I believe your main point of interest in taking this series of study and trying to become a spellcaster was to avoid such banality. But if that is something that you seek out, I can also see if I can't send out some informational acquisitioners to the Alistair house and see if there's perhaps someone who can help us with this social interaction thing that's so strange.
Again, she looks
Curious.
absolutely mortified, but she just nods her head. That would be great, thank you.
Of course. Back at the strange watering hole. Eventually, there's a person who enters in, a halfling. He's wearing green kind of attire. He has like a green hat with a kind of wide brim, kind of a weird kind of like crumpled top to it. He's got a staff. He looks like he's probably in his 30s, maybe, or something. For halflings, who knows? And he's wearing a green cape with like kind of like a white sash around or scarf around his neck. Alton, you'd immediately recognize this as Diggy, but you would also know he goes by the name Nevik Greenbottle. In actuality, your nickname for him is Diggy.
Great uncle, great to see you.
Kind of pops up on the chair and sits next to you, looks over at your friend, and then looks at you and says, "Yeah, welcome back. I got a message from the house saying that you would be around these parts, and not too hard to find." Shrugs, kind of setting his staff next to him, looks at the menu real quick, like he's been here before, and says, "Yes, I will have the green boulet, please." And the barkeep kind of whoops, turns and looks back at you, Alton, and says, "I got your message." Slides a stone out to you, what you would know as a calling stone. Welcome back to the city. This one's clean. Looks over at your friend. If you want from him, I can try and get you one, but you might be better served just purchasing one out in the market. They still go for about $250. But you should have that. There might be a contact coming through it in the near future. Can't say for certain. I assume you wanted to get in contact with me because of business, but I also assume you wanted to get in contact with me because of the loss of your watering hole.
Yes. We heard that there was a death cult that was underneath it, and we're kind of investigating this death cult.
100% true. It appears a coalition of the houses is actually sent down to investigate it. They've boarded it up and sealed it quite nicely. There was a skirmish not too long after. The barkeep says, "That is what I was talking about." And he says that as he's placing the glass in front of him. And as he does so, he kind of sets it, and once it's on the table, kind of swirls it left and right. And you can see this kind of billowing up from the bottom, which is kind of like this rising of like liquid, but in the dead center of it, which is kind of cone shaped and green in color. The exterior kind of like parting this kind of transparent kind of red, almost like code red color. And once it all kind of like mellows out, it's like red on the top, green in the middle, and kind of brown in the bottom. And it seems like Nevik likes this. Takes the glass, kind of throws it back.
Ooh, wow.
Rod, would you like
That
one
is
of these?
remarkable.
I say barkeep, 2.
Of course. Nevik kind of looks at you and says, "In the money, are you?" Smiling. I always
Yeah, I guess.
assumed a place like the Suckerfish wouldn't be terribly great for you and yours. But
Well,
great.
you know,
when you
when,
say
when in doubt, we
when you
got
s-
to go somewhere else.
when you say it and kind of look down at the menu and kind of look back up, you realize that the drink that he just ordered was like 7 gold. So
That's
you
why we're
just-
only getting 1 or 2, and that's it.
Yeah. But he finishes his pretty quickly, kind of like hastily, almost as if he's not even enjoying the process. And kind of looks to you and says, "It was a horrid affair, but I do believe that there are some contacts at House Harrigan and House Sereta who are still looking for any information regarding it. I believe that they are also willing to dispense information for any would-be sellswords or, types who would be interested in self-investigating, vigilantes,
Ah!
or what have you.
These
My friend
death
here.
cults. Ah!
Seems your friend isn't terribly fond of them. Neither am I. It's a horrid affair. There was actually a stack of dead bodies found out on in an alleyway not too far from here. Quite a horrid situation, to be sure. And according to reports in the family, it would seem that these individuals have been sucked clean of their souls."
Ooh,
Interesting.
that is foul.
That is most foul.
I don't disagree.
Um,
The drinks are kind of set before you, shaken onto the tables. You see the boule kind of rise up and, the like. And if you drink it, it is an acquired taste, to be sure. Let's say. It has a very kind of earthy taste to it. Like, it almost tastes like
an
your-
IPA.
Yeah, it kind of has like a hoppy kind of IPA taste, right? But imagine that in kind of a liquor. And then, have you ever had like an amaretto?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, imagine a hoppy amaretto. It's the best way to kind of describe it.
That does not sound or taste good.
Yeah.
As you open one.
It's not the best. No, I don't drink IPAs anymore. Stouts for me, please. But
I hear that.
or good old hard liquor. Being said, he kind of looks to you and says, "So, are you looking for the next bit of work, or just gonna wander around with friends?" He says. He kind of looks to Hazro.
We are actually looking for. I would like to meet up with Dante Blackhand and try to learn a new technique from him.
Wouldn't we all? Well, I will see what I can do regarding that matter. That coin definitely loosens the gears. He says as he kind of prefers his kind of gloved hand out to you.
Yeah. I don't know how much coin I got. Hold on.
Again, it's more of a how much are you willing to put forward?
Oh, shit. I got to see how much I got first.
All of it.
I'm cheap. I don't even know where my coin is on here.
It's where your
I got
equipment is.
265.
Not much.
What about 150?
Okay. He
So
takes.
while
Go ahead.
Alton's going through his coin, Hezrod kind of puts his hand on the other halfling's shoulder and leans in and looks at him and he says,
Wherever these death cults are hiding, just point me in their direction. I will take care of the rest.
You see him kind of very quickly, kind of brusquely push your hand off of his shoulder and kind of look to Alton. And in Halfling, he says, "Where did you pick this one up?"
Well, speaking in halfling back, they actually kind of saved me from being thrown into a royal.
A royal?
Yeah, with this
Like a
death cult
King?
stuff.
Like a king or like a whirlpool?
A whirlpool thingy.
Okay.
Yeah.
In common, he says back to Hezrod, "I would like to thank you for saving my nephew."
it was not a problem. He is fun!
And I suppose if I find any information regarding these death cults, I will pass it forward through Alton to you. Then back in Halfling, you're not going to tangle with these cults, are you?
I think we will.
Well,
Hezrod, he's very not fond of Lady of the Deep, and that's part of this death cult.
never heard of her. I'm not familiar with her. So, interesting matter to be sure. I will put this forward towards Dante and see if he's interested in taking any apprentices in the current time. I can't promise anything, but this will definitely help in getting his ear. And any information I happen to come upon regarding these death cults, I will pass it forward to you two. Looks to the barkeep, nods his head. And then in Saryujan, he says something, or in Shishi, the Shishi tongue, he says something to him, which you don't understand. It's replied back in kind of kind, and the two kind of laugh, and then he kind of stands up, tips his hat to you two, and starts heading away. Kind of stops and says, turning back, "Oh, right. Did you want to go drinking?"
Yes.
Yes!
Not a bad place to start a crawl, he says as he walks out into the street with his staff. And if you two follow him,
Oh, yeah. We're going to follow.
you will begin a Steel District bar crawl.
Yes, absolutely.
So, one quick important point. You would note that he gave you what is known as a calling stone. If you're familiar with a sending stone, it's the same thing, except a calling stone can be keyed to as many different calling stones as you want, and you can operationally call whoever's on your calling stone.
Okay.
As long as you're within the city. So that one that you have is a blank. It has no information on it, and out of character, since you don't know that's a thing, I assumed you would have requested one the second you entered into the city. So whatever contacts you do form, Navik being one of them, he keys to your calling stone.
Okay.
If you get Hazrod a calling stone, you can key to his, and if you end up on different sides of the city, you two can communicate. Same would
Oh,
be
yeah.
true.
Like we are now.
Yeah, I say, hey, Hezrod, let's go find you a calling stone while we're on this bar crawl.
And if you're doing so during the bar crawl, if you ask Nevik, he can get you them for free, but
Okay.
you will owe based on dues.
So it's like, get it now, pay later.
That's fine.
Yeah, the Mardigan family will be like, why did you take this from our coffers, and what are you willing to do to repay it at a later point? And if you don't do anything at a later point, then it's going to become a set number, and it'll be higher.
How much was my bounty for that ring?
Oh, I forget. Great question. It was a lot, though.
He put it in a dead drop, right?
Yep. Oh,
So if I can grab...
No, Nevik would have dropped it off to you at this point, actually. Oh, what was it, though? It was quite a bit.
$1 million.
It wasn't that many.
Boo!
I feel like
Yeah.
we single-handedly
That's right.
collapse the economy.
800
We
gold
did.
pieces.
Nice.
That'd be 9115.
800 gold pieces, which would be delivered to you in a series of 4 brilliant rubies, which you know are pretty common form of currency in the city.
Hey, hold on.
Nice.
Sounds pretty brilliant to me. I'll leave.
No, it's fine.
You're fine.
Go to bed.
Jonathan says,
No.
"You're fine," but he doesn't mean that.
He doesn't.
Not what his heart is saying. It's
He's
just
planning the
Where's-
next
where's John
encounter.
knows where I
So
live.
this calling stone only works within this city, right?
Correct. But it works with as many different contacts as you'd like.
Okay. I don't know how many. I asked Hezrod, how many calling stones do we need? I know. Because Avran...
He thinks about it he seriously considers it for a second. And he says,
We need one for Fiona.
That is true.
As you say that and are trying to decide how many you're going to get, we're going to cut back to the library. Fiona, do you take a second as you're kind of getting everything kind of prepared?
We'll do a side chat in the Discord.
everything kind of prepared and such to go to your room and just kind of check back in with your kind of like resting kind of environment? Because again, you were basically staying here in the Grand Library.
Yeah, yeah. She would definitely take that time, but before she does, she would kind of like turn to Gloridir and Malika and kind of say like, if you don't mind, I'm just kind to freshen up. If you two want to just take a seat, I'll be right out. And as she's heading out, she would like kind of do like a and try to like call him over to just talk the two of them.
Yeah, that's fine.
Once it's just the two of them, she would mention, all right, could you please look up some information about cults, specifically death cults, for me?
You don't happen to be referencing the current situation that's happening with the houses, would you?
She kind of like sizes him up for a moment. What if I said that I did?
We're having quite a situation here in the city. Some people think it's a Meridian Cult that's actually formed here, and I'm not of the mentality that that would be the case. They are typically a little bit more subtle than what's happening here. Seems like someone is actually putting on an effort to show a display of power here, and it's basically very novice.
She just kind of like clucks her tongue at that. A display of power. Sounds kind of like, I don't know, the Red Daggers?
The Red Daggers have mostly been dealt with, from what I've understood. There was a report of some conflict at sea not too long ago. An island fort not too far from here, and the last of the Red Daggers were dealt with. The Kraken I had mentioned was also a situation where a lot of Red Daggers had been dealt with. He kind of... That family I was talking to you about, that I have contacts with, they seem to have pretty much dealt with the Module's efforts in that regard. The Red Daggers have pretty much been dealt with.
She kind of nods at that. And dare I ask about the Kengo?
Not too much information in that regard. They are very secretive. But the guide you had, the one that was found dead on the road.
What? Fiona kind of pauses at that for
House Gravesend guide, the fellow, what was his name? Eric, I believe?
Yes.
He was found dead on the road between here and a town called Land's End. From the reports that we received from House Gravesend, it would seem that he was taken out by a Shinoyoro Kengo hit.
She looked very, very grave upon hearing that news. Oh, I don't suppose you know of any...
Well, I did some research, and from what I understand, he was a former member of their association, so it might be the case that those connections are a little bit deeper and a little bit closer than we had expected. How much do you trust these two? He says...
She looks very taken aback upon hearing that Eric was Kango, and she did not know that. So again, she just looks fully like shell-shocked. Also that he's dead, did not know that.
Yeah.
So she just kind of like looks floored for a moment. Well, I thought I trusted both of them, but I also thought I trusted Eric, and wow,
well, based on the name of your friend there, kind of not really looking, but gesturing kind of head shake towards Gloridir, I'm pretty sure that he is affiliated with a known member of House, or the Mare Enclave's Assassinorium. So be mindful there.
She again like pauses at hearing that. All right.
The other one just seems to be nothing more than a frontier-born. Does she possess any skills that you're aware of?
She kind of twitches a little bit. No, none that I know of. I heard that she was a midwife, actually.
Ah, so she's some sort of medic, and that's how she affiliates herself with you. Of course.
Yes.
That makes sense. Well,
yes.
I can tell you that it seems a lot of interested parties are very focused on what you're going on and about, for what reasons I have not been able to suss out. I will tell you that I will hit the books hard on this Lady of the Deep, and if any other information passes this library, I'll make sure it stays in your room. Don't forget to take up your calling, Stone. I believe you still have me as a contact. So if anything comes up, I can ask you to come as quickly as possible, so long as you're within the city. And please let me know when you leave.
She kind of briefly smiles at that and nods, still very pale and shaken and just looking very distraught. Yes, of course. Thank you again for all your help. But I'm sure you know why I will have to go soon. She kind of trails off thinking about.
Of course. You see him kind of cross arms and kind of move away from you. You see him start heading towards a distinct section of the library, which you know hosts most of the lore on the far plains. And when you head into your room, I mean, it's just as you left it. Your, stuff's on the table, and the call stone that he had mentioned, something you do have, which only has like 3 or 4 contacts on it, plus any that you make up. But your mom and your dad are both on it, and Professor...
you bought it for her, for sure, when she moved out of the house.
Professor Corgan is also on your contact list.
She kind of puts it in her hand and thinks about her mom, and for a brief moment, she, almost screams, she grabs a pillow and is thinking about it, but she takes a second and speaks into the stone and says, "Hello, Mother. Me and some friends will be staying the night."
Oh, great. Yes, your mentor Corgan had mentioned you were out of the city. I suppose we'll catch up. You hear a voice in the background go, "Is that her?"
Hi, Dad. Yes, I'll talk to you tonight. Bye. She just immediately puts the stone back under the pillow.
Literally, my dad.
They're on phone.
Literally every dad, though.
So that's approximately about the time that Averin would have waited. Once you're done waiting, where do you leave, or where do you go after that, Averin? After you're basically
to a tailor.
Okay.
In his mind, since he gave the name Melody, and whoever responded said that they recognize the name Avran, he automatically assumes it's gonna be like, "Oh my god, it's her," and he's gonna go get a suit.
Okay, that makes sense.
Or just something casual, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you hop back on the trolley and head back into the city. House Noman is where most people you ask kind of direct you, and it's eventually you do find quite the tailor. You do notice that when you kind of enter in, they kind of are looking at you. They seem to be kind of hard pressed at work, and they stop. It looks like they're working on a very strange, very ornate looking dress that has kind of scintillating kind of scales patterning, which kind of looks like a rainbow from top to down. It's very ornate and very, very just over the top. There's a lot of kind of feathering to it. It looks gorgeous, but very, very strange, especially for you. Your sensibilities fashion-wise are dated. He kind of looks over to you and says, "Oh, apologies. I do not have much time. I am quite busy today for the rest of the day. If you have an inquiry regarding a specific matter, are you wanting work done? It looks like you need some work done."
No. I was wondering, do you have anything in my size that's casual, or for a gathering?
What kind of gathering? Are we talking about
tea? A tea party.
It's a meeting.
So something more businessy, something more
casual. It's a casual meeting. Yes.
Casual meeting. Okay. Well, if you're just wanting something off the rack, he gestures towards the rack. You can pick out whatever you like, whatever you think seems to fit. But if you want me to measure you, be sure of it, then that might take some more effort, time, and coin.
I would love. Yeah, the coin is no issue, but I desperately need something today. It's the meeting is tomorrow.
I'm currently working on this very ornate dress. Apparently, it's the new fashion ever since the opera a couple days ago. That said, I just genuinely do not have time this evening. Tomorrow would be the earliest I could start on it. However, I mean, if you make it worth my while, I can push back some of these other jobs. You said coin is not a matter. So
Yes, coin is no
Ooh.
issue.
how far does that statement hold weight? If I charged you 50 gold pieces right now for a well-tailored suit for a casual meeting, would you be willing to pay it?
I drop 100 gold.
I'll have it done before the evening's out.
Thank you.
And
I'm
you see that he pulls out a tape, kind of walks over to you very quickly, just does the whole kit and caboodle, gets in there, like tears off armor plating and is like getting to business, measuring you out, and immediately
would
after.
ever know.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Based on what he remembers of Melody,
Outside.
would he know her tastes, like what she's, interested in?
You keep thinking about it, and like there's a lot of blanks here. Like
Shit.
like the intimate moments of the relationship aren't really kind of popping as fresh as they used to, or as you thought they might. But the more you think about it, the more you understand that you never really remember wearing anything besides your old guard uniform.
Mm.
And she seemed to like that well enough.
I ask the tailor, could you make it reminiscent of the old guard uniforms?
The old guard?
Yes.
Are you going to some kind of historical party or something? Some kind of
something like that. Yeah.
I mean, again, for the amount that you threw down, I could make this look like whatever.
Nothing too flashy. Old guard is the best taste.
I believe I have an old pattern for them. I can certainly see what I can do.
Thank you.
Of course. With your measurements, if you stay there and wait with him for the remainder of the evening, he very quickly manages to get you a uniform that is damn near identical to the one you wore during dress orientation during your Holy Swordsman studies.
Yes.
Very, very cool. Hezrod, Alton, there really isn't much to describe besides the fact that you two are getting fucked up. The thing that you notice, Alton, during it is a lot of people keep on taking Hezrod as a mark, because I'm assuming Hezrod is tossing coin around like an idiot. Based on his transactions, you're muted.
Not if he doesn't have to.
Well, again, like if you're buying alcohol and you know the transactional, according to what you've seen so far in land, is I give you this shiny coin, you give me the alcohol, and like you're not really paying attention to the nuances that Alton's paying attention to.
Right.
People are watching Hezrod, but the two halflings that are kind of with you are kind of immediately kind of hand gesturing and signaling to make sure that they are aware Hezrod is a no-touchy situation. And
you got protection.
by the end of the night, too, Alton, you understand that Hezrod is now a point of interest for the gossip mill in the Steel District. People are asking about Hezrod. They don't know his name. Some people know his name. Some people refer to him as the Loud Fishfolk. Some people refer to him as the Burned Merfolk. There's a lot of names that keep on kind of stirring about for this merfolk that you're associated with. Some people know his name is Hezrod, some don't. And it seems like they're making up stories as well, from what you can tell, Alton, regarding him.
What's one of these stories? Is it super awesome?
You can make one up if you want.
Oh.
Dude, you don't even have to make them up. You can be like, he literally erases people.
Yeah. He has that shiny axe that I polished.
Yeah, if you're spreading the rumors, I mean, you can do it to kind of like up Hezrod's notoriety in the town.
Yeah, I will totally do that.
Absolutely.
So he gets some clout in the city,
Absolutely. So that's happening. Fiona, you kind of
some clout.
That's gonna be awesome. People are gonna be telling him the craziest stories. So you'd be like, I can't wait to meet that guy.
Hezrod's like, oh, that guy sounds awesome. Fiona, you take...
There's a merfolk around here.
Sounds raw as hell. You take the folks with you to the Elmwood Staven. And when you enter in, it's not a very large, situation. It's not very massive. Just a quaint little kind of rustic tavern and inn on the roof of a 5-story, complex. It's actually a building that's been built out on the top of the structure, so it's like an old rustic tavern that you probably have visited, but with a view. And the location's not bad there in the Magic District. But of course, you would know that in the Magic District, location's not really important because you can change it however you want. Lots of folks do. That said, you enter in. The only people who are currently in the tavern, the tap room rather, at this point, are your mother and father, who I have no drawings for. And Fiona, you can go ahead and describe.
Sure. So Fiona's mother. Let me pull up my character sheet. Her name is Anne, and her father's name is Elliot Woods. And Anne,
Very nice names.
they're very salt of the earth people. Anne is the town gossip, actually. She loves a bit of, this and that. She's friends with almost everyone in this district. But Fiona
That
has
makes so
seen
much
that come,
sense.
right. Fiona has seen that kind of come to her detriment once or twice, because this is not necessarily the city is not necessarily the safest place in the world. And so Elliot is a bit more of the practical. He looks a bit stern. He's a bit more men of few words, kind of standing next to her. He kind of handles the alcohol pouring and everything, kind of handles the books, and she's kind of the face behind the whole place. And they both look very plain, very average Osirian.
They do have a couple of servers in the tavern as well. A couple employees that they keep. You would know that they probably have a handful of staff. Nothing too. It's not a massive establishment, but you would know that one of the servers is a woman who goes by Kalana Anna Bennett. And Kalana is actually someone you went to basic school with, which is kind of the before you kind of decide on a path or house rather. So she seems to have taken to not really going to a house or a grander kind of course of learning, and is just kind of here. And you would know that's not because of any kind of desperation or anything. It's just because she doesn't have any kind of grander aspirations, and she really enjoys your mother's company. And then the other server is a fellow named... where is he? Lygon. And Lygon is actually a tiefling.
Can I move Averon's token to the Elmwood estate or the?
Oh, you're heading to Elmwood, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So you would get there shortly, or probably later, in this aspect because you're waiting for your retire.
It's late. Yeah.
Yeah. And you'd have that when you do enter. I'll kind of give you a signal or tell you that you're entering in.
Gotcha.
And that's when you'll kind of enter in. But the other three, you enter in. Kalana kind of looks over and says, "Fiona's here." And you see your mom kind of go, "Oh," and very bright and kind of just overjoyed kind of come over to you. But she seems to stop herself from kind of smothering, as I'm sure these boundaries have already been tested.
No.
Yes, Fiona. Even though she kind of stops herself, Fiona gives her a bit of a warning, kind of puff, and gives her an awkward. All right, one hug, just one. Kind of pulls her in.
She gives you a hug. You see Elliot in the back, kind of look out, kind of look back into what he's doing. And she starts kind of rambling, and she's talking about people that you've heard of but don't really give a fuck about. And it's literally just kind of her talking. And then you hear from the back, "Hey! You don't even know her friends' names. You didn't even ask about that. You're just going on about your own stuff. Hold on a second." And you see him kind of come out of the back. And he has like a server tray, kind of walks it over to a table and sets it down. And you would recognize the table as the one that you typically take up when you do come out this way. And the food that he seems to be preparing is actually some of your favorite kind of food, whatever that happens to be. And a couple of empty tankards with a pitcher of ale, and kind of sets that out onto the table and kind of smiles, and just kind of offers the table up. And Anne kind of looks like, a bit kind of taken aback by Elliot kind of chopping the knife there, and then she kind of looks to you and says, "Well, who are your friends?"
Fiona kind of gives a small eye roll before this
Hold on.
is Malika. Oh, sure.
I'm just muting Brian. Hold on.
Malika would bow stiffly and awkwardly.
And she kind of like also gestures to Gloridia. And this is Gloridia. There are three more actually I should be expecting. But these are the two that I actually trust the most. And she looks a bit surprised as she's saying that.
I like hugs.
Anne smiles. Well, it's good luck to have a elf in our midst. What am I doing an accent for? She didn't have one. It's good luck to have an elf in our midst.
And speaking of, it's out the bottle of wine.
Elliot kind of looks over to it and kind of goes, "Wow, that's a rare find."
We found it on our journey. Well, we found a couple of them on our journey, but this one is for you.
Amazing. Wait, this will definitely go great on our shelf. Thank you, Fiona. Thank you, Master Elf. He says as he takes the bottle. Go over here. Sorry. And you see him kind of looking at the label, and he goes, you can hear him just kind of going, "Wow. What?" And it's almost like he kind of like,
wow.
He's kind of wiping the dust from the, the road, and also from where it was placed like before, and kind of like, very carefully kind of placing it on his shelf of wines that are kind of present on the back there. And it's like, it's a rustic kind of tavern, but it's really neat, and like, everything's kind of like where it's supposed to be, or where you imagine it would need to be.
Like the trophy wine shelf.
And there's like the trophy wine shelf, and he kind of like makes a place for it and sets it kind of perfectly in between a couple of other kind of, precious looking bottles of wine. Meanwhile, Anne, asks about Malika. Bowing's not really our thing here in the city. I'm sorry. If it's, she kind of does it back to you. If it's something that you do, she kind of gestures, bowing at you.
Malika responds by curtsying again, just as awkwardly, starting like an infinite loop.
Oh, they just bow forever. Fiona's like, "Perfect."
Probably not yet.
No more gossiping.
Oh my gosh. She kind of just again, she kind of rolls her eyes. Mom, you don't have to bow. It's fine.
Oh, well, she bowed. I was just doing. I'm sorry.
Y'all have a lovely tavern. It's really quite lovely.
Thank you. And you're quite lovely. Your styling is very, very nice.
Ooh.
Why, thank you.
We definitely do like the atmosphere here, and the people who do stop in are, nice enough. Like I was saying, and she continues going on about people who, again, do not matter for the story at all. And unless you stop her in this conversation, she will go on about the trite, pointless banality of their life.
Goradier's invested.
Okay, so you learn about the goings-on between Hilda and her husband, Billiam.
Oh,
and
he
Billiam apparently is sleeping with Hilda's sister, Janelda. And apparently Janelda is pregnant with Billiam's child. And Billiam is trying to make it seem like it's not his child, it's someone else's. to
Maury,
Janelda. So
Maury,
Janelda thinks
Maury.
it's someone else. It's not Billiams, even though she's certain that it is Billiams.
Amazing.
So that he can get away with it.
So
Literally, like, sitting there, like...
Yeah, Malika would start off like trying to pretend to be
Like-
interested to just kind of be polite, but then as the drama unfolds and thickens, she would like be genuinely like all
invested
in for the tea.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like, I don't know.
Like, it's like...
It's like watching TLC. Like the first episode is kind of like, and then like
Yes.
it gets into that next. You're like, okay, all right.
And you realize there's just a train wreck.
And then you
you're just
remember
like,
everyone's names, and you're like, holy shit, what? What is happening to me?
Yeah.
But you know the person who doesn't get invested or show any kind of signs of interest? Fiona, the whole time just annoyed and embarrassed.
Fiona, yeah.
Literally
And
trying to
actually,
change the
it's-
subject.
While that's happening, she actually like kind of takes a moment because she can see that they're starting to get invested and she knows that most people are invested in her mother's stories. She
Yeah.
just couldn't care less. So she kind of takes this opportunity to pull aside Elliot and kind of says, quieter just for his ears. So Mom mentioned that the guests have been kind lately. I hope that's true. No business with the factions or any of the agents.
Yeah, for the most part, it's been pretty good. We have been hearing a lot about some stuff happening up in the Steel District. A couple of different taverns having issues up that way, but nothing happening down this way.
She kind of nods and then kind of pulls him a bit closer, taking the opportunity to kind of give him a hug and says, "And I hope you know that if you do run into any of them again, any Inquisitors come around, let me know, all right? I have your number for a reason."
Of course.
And she kind of pulls out her stone and holds it up. It works both ways, so
Yeah, well,
come to me.
you've been out of the city for a while, haven't you? Smiles.
She kind of gives a smirk back. I'm never too far to come back and help. You know
Well,
that.
I gotta ask because I've always wondered. You've been bookish your entire life. How was it out there on the open road? Pretty good, wasn't it?
She actually, for the first time, before she was kind of smiling for her mother's sake, now she's actually smiling and like relaxed again. And
He gives you one of those kind of like knuckles to the cheek and smiles. I'm proud of you.
Oh,
I don't know
go champ.
what happened out there, but I'm proud of you. At about that time, a massive holy swordsman steps into the tavern, and everyone besides the people who know who Avrin is are kind of like, "Whoa." Are you wearing the uniform, or do you just have it in its?
No, I have it in the bag. I don't
kind of
want to
over the
wrinkle it.
shoulder? Okay.
Yeah. It's a giant fucking suit, by the way.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, he walks into the tavern. And he's like, "Hello."
Good sir.
seeing him, Fiona calls over to her mother. "Oh, Mother, this is Avran, one of my other compatriots.
That is.
He's a swordsman."
And she kind of looks at you, and you know what she's suggesting with her eye glare.
Oh no.
You should
Like,
get
and she-
married.
She like goes even redder than she's ever has before. "He is someone I met along the road who I travel with because it was convenient, and he has a horse."
He's a convenience.
Elliot
He
walks up.
has a horse.
No, this all makes it sound even better,
Just-
like marriage
wow.
material.
Elliot walks up behind her, and you can
How
actually
many chickens does he have?
what Elizabeth just said is actually poignant because she is literally getting ready for the kill, right? Like the motherly, I am gonna make this happen kill. And you see Elliot place this massive hand kind of on her shoulder, and she kind of like looks over her shoulder, and he says, "Go ahead and set up desserts, and maybe a nice palading of a dessert wine for them as well." And she kind of goes, and he kind of goes, and she kind of goes, "Fine,
Them grandbabies.
And
I have 2 horses and
You-
an elk.
you
She
see
said, "Excuse me, but there was a tall, dark, and handsome man who just waltzed
who is
into my
wearing the
inn."
armor of a holy swordsman. Like, it doesn't get
Yeah.
much better than that. Like, that is literally,
Right?
that is who you
And
pass
he
your
has
daughter
a
off to.
horse.
2 great swords on the back.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
like, I think I've seen
Like-
this man on the cover of a romance novel.
Right. Oh, you said your name was Fabio.
The wind blowing through my hair.
Elliot kind of like walks over to you and
From-
kind of whispers into you, Fiona. You know she does it because she loves you, not to embarrass you. And then kind of like heads over to Avran. Says, "A pleasure to have a servant of Atavius in our house."
Pleasure. And I grab his hand. Not too tight.
Very stern
Firm.
grip from him, actually. So
Oh,
you probably go
okay.
a bit stern.
yeah.
I'll
I'll go
he's-
with Stern.
Yeah, he kind of, you see him kind of wince a bit if you do go full stern. But he does have a stern grip to him despite that, and kind of like says, "It's a pleasure to have a servant of the Lord of Balance in the house.
Of course. And you as well, sir.
We're preparing a dessert wine, but I'm assuming you're famished if you also are a friend of Fiona's
Oh,
and
why, thank you.
just off the road. I have some remnants of what they were consuming for dinner. I'll bring it out for you, reheated, and maybe something a little bit on the side.
Oh, please. Thank you. I
but
truly appreciate it.
my wife Anne's currently making a delicacy for you to enjoy afterwards.
Thank you.
Looks back at Fiona, and you would know that Elliot, like, even though he's not into the whole like deal there, like, is kind of giving you a look, trying to figure out what this is, like if there is anything here between you and Avran. And if you kind of give him that like embarrassed kind of like look that you gave her, but like more seriously, you see him immediately kind of just dismiss the idea as a concept, and kind of move away from the situation.
Thank you, Elliot.
But you would know that Elliot is also a servant of Atavius. He does worship the Lord of Balance, and this for him too would be a good catch. He heads off. Not saddened, not trying to force the situation. But yeah, you all sit at the table, and at about that time, rewinding time a little bit, but fast forwarding time a little bit, you're all kind of there later in the evening, probably closer to like 8-ish, 9-ish, after everything that you've been
Hezron
doing.
and Alton as well.
We're getting to that. So Hezron and
Oh,
Alton,
okay.
you've been drinking since you got here at 3, and you've been slowly making your way down across the city, through and through. At the beginning of your start with Diggy, you had said to him, "Well, we need to end up at Elmwoods," according to what they said. And then you kind of like, okay. And he says, "Elmwoods, you got it." As you started the crawl, you've drank at every single tavern between the Crystallis and the small pub near there and Elmwoods. I'd like the two of you to make Constitution saving throws.
Oh, don't worry, I got this. No, I don't.
Chad, you're muted if you're talking.
Oh, I was saying I'm gonna go with the 13.
2 halflings are dragging a merfolk into the tavern. The merfolk appears to have remnants of vomit in kind of the lips and kind of gills area of the throat. But they are literally kind of carrying it. It looks like they seem to have acquired a wagon, not a wagon, sorry, a wheelbarrow.
A rickshaw.
Yeah, a rickshaw. That's a better way of
Car.
doing it. And have dragged him up to the tavern and are now carrying him into Elmwood's tap room. You recognize all of them except for the other one. And
I go, hey, I love you guys.
Nevik says,
This is
hey, this is the last place. This place is pretty nice, and try to keep it. You try to keep it respectful here, okay? It's a pretty nice place.
okay, Uncle. We will.
All right. Make sure he
Excuse
doesn't.
me, Uncle. Excuse me.
Make sure he doesn't throw up all over the floor.
Don't worry. That's Fiona. She'll take care of him.
Pleasure. Tips his head. And then he says, "I got work tomorrow. I'll see you later. You keep it. You keep the rickshaw. All right.
Awesome. We got a rickshaw, guys. Let's go. Let's go drifting.
He heads out of there. But yeah, Hezrod, you are slightly conscious. Slightly conscious. Like you're
Slightly conscious.
absolutely not capable of mobility. You're not
capable. Am I capable of casting spells?
No.
Okay. So I'm barely conscious.
You are right there on the verge.
Am I laying on my back or on my stomach?
I don't know. How did he get laid?
We turned him on his side so he doesn't puke inside of his gills.
You're on your side.
Okay.
You see,
he's just looking around
from the floor. Once you see them,
looking around.
Does anybody operationally do anything? Malika, Avrin, Fiona, Gordy, or anything you want to do?
I asked Elliot for a bucket.
Well, Elliot's in the back. You would know that he's currently getting you a meal prepared, so he doesn't know what's going on in the front.
I look around. I asked Fiona, actually. Fiona, do you have a bucket available? Or 2?
Or 10.
She just looked like very confused and like kind of disturbed, but she'd head towards the closet.
Yep. And yeah, you would see that as you're kind of getting up and moving over that way, you would see that Kilana kind of moves with you and kind of says, "No, I got it. Don't worry. It's with your friends. It's okay." And kind of heads over to the closet and gets a couple buckets.
Can Avron pick up Hezrod and put him like on a chair or something?
Yeah.
So he's just not on the ground.
Just propped him up.
Thank you. He's very heavy.
Avron is absolutely strong enough to move a Hezrod.
Hey, Hezrod.
Alton, you kind of sit at the table. You're all kind of sat at the table. You see Elliot coming out with food and kind of stop and go, "Oh," and kind of like looks to Fiona, kind of like confused because there's more people. Walks out.
Can Hezrod say something as Avran's lugging him around?
Yeah.
As he like sets him down in a chair and like props him up, Hezrod just says, "Gemwich. Gemwich is awesome."
Gemwich. I will remember that name, friend.
If you're trained in religion, you already know it. It's a halfling god or halfling kind of like patron. It's not technically a god, it's like a power. But yeah, he walks out with the food and kind of sets it out in front of you, Avran, kind of like surprised by the newcomers and like still trying to appear very kind of like deferential to you. And then he kind of looks to Hezrod and Alton and then looks to Fiona. They all right?
And I just sighs deeply and like pinches her nose. Yes, I remember. I told you I had more companions coming.
Is this all of them?
He scans the room. Yes, it is.
Okay. Leans over to Hezrod, kind of places his hand on his shoulder and kind of looks into your face. And he's just like the warmest looking guy, like just a very cozy looking, rustic, handsome gentleman. And he's kind of looking at you and he says, "I know what you need." And he kind of pats you on the shoulder, walks to the back. Looks as he's heading that way, he looks to Alton and he's like, "Mince pie?"
Yes, sir.
Kind of
mince pie it is.
Heads to the back. Eventually he comes out with a mince pie and a plate full of sardines for Hezrod.
That's cannibalism.
No, it's not.
Not really.
He's a fish.
Fish eat fish.
Yeah. What do you think he eats in the ocean? It's like a shark eating a minnow.
Yeah, mermaids eat fish.
He tears into it if he can.
All right.
Or unless somebody has to like feed him.
Oh,
Avron is not doing that.
You can eat.
Gordier would spoon feed him.
It's starting to get you back, like getting the food into you. It's actually like It's like it's recovery mode. Like I don't know if you've ever been to a Waffle House in the middle of the night, Chad.
Yes, yeah.
But it's
you're like, I'm done drinking. Let's go to a Waffle House. But by the time you're done, you're like, yeah, I could drink till 7 in the morning.
It's just like that, except it's happening at like 9 p.m. because you started at 3.
Excellent.
Waffle House is that comfort food.
Fiona slips a gold coin over to Lygon and just like it looks so apologetic. I'm so sorry. I promise that they're not usually Well, they usually are. I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
Okay.
it's fine.
I
Don't
think it's
worry.
his first time in the city.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. We had a group of wizards over here not too long ago, and they were spiking each other's drinks with strange concoctions. We had a fellow turn into a small little version of himself running around.
She
But
turned me into a newt.
typically, from what they said, the clothes are supposed to shrink with him, but for some reason they didn't with him. So it was quite the mess running around without his clothes on, screaming. And when you're smaller, did you know if you scream, it sounds like it's weirder sounding. It sounds like more it's like "Ee," instead of like ah, you know. Anyways, thanks. I'll take it, but no problem. I'll clean up everything. It's okay.
She just shakily hands over the coin and turns around and thinks to Seymour, "Do you see why I left? You see, right?"
Lygon's kind of like a blue-skinned, kind of like fair blue-skinned tiefling. His horns kind of gonna go up, like towards the back, but when they get to like about here, they're gonna curl out. He's wearing typical garb for a server type. Seems pleasant enough. You're not very familiar with Lygon. You know he's a relatively new hire, but you are more familiar with Kalana, who has been here for quite a while, about a year or two. Eventually Anne comes back out with the desserts, and we'll kind of lay them out to you, and the kind of dessert wines, and also a couple of cups of coffee, which she sets out in front of Alton and Hezrod, and leaves the pot kind of near them. And just as she's about to start talking, it looks like she's about to start asking people questions. You hear a from the back, and she kind of turns. You see Elliot kind of arms crossed looking at her, and she kind of goes, "Enjoy." Kind of moves back to the back, and then you kind of hear them whisper bickering in the back. But yeah, you're left to the table, free to discuss what you'd like.
The food has taste, right?
This
Yeah,
mince
Avron?
pie is very good.
Yeah, the mince pie is great. And Avran, the food you got served, and then also there's the dessert.
Mhm.
There's
No, but it has taste though, right? Like Avron can taste the food.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's make sure.
You just don't have to eat, I don't think. It's not so much that you can't eat.
I go, hey, look at this shiny stone I got. My uncle gave it to me. Anybody have one of these?
Fiona's a calling stone, you know it.
Oh,
The hell is that?
Actually, hold on, sorry. Alton, as you say that and kind of like, you see one of these, and he pulls out and he drops like a handful of calling stones. He has one for Gloridir, one for Hezrod, one for himself, one for Fiona, one for Avran, one for Malika, one for Baffinal. Literally just 7 stones he drops them
You
all
get a
out.
stone, I get a stone, everyone gets a stone.
What?
These are off the books, so use them wisely.
What is this?
It's something.
It's a sending stone. She kind of pulls out her own. I'm already covered, thank you. Where did you get this, Dig?
Don't worry about this. This is on the house. You can use yours.
She looks even more like curiously at him now. Like now she's really starting to size.
Don't size me up like that. I have short man syndrome.
I'm glad I don't have to borrow my friends now.
I'll pass on the stone. Thank you though.
Fiona puts it in Avran's bag.
Yeah, I was going to put one in everyone's bag. Secretly.
Fiona, you would know the process, and you'd basically kind of like go through and make sure everyone's connected with everyone. And Alton's like drunkenly trying to help, but you're basically making sure everyone's contacts and everyone else's calling stone. And with these, you can actually network and do like a call with everyone if you'd want as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Fiona kind of takes it in, and again, she's not letting up on this. She turns fully to Elton. So, how do you have connections to procure 7 calling stones in one day?
I just have connections. This is good mincemeat pie.
Smart.
You have friends in places, don't you, Alton?
I start singing Garth Brooks' "Friends in Low Places."
kind of squints her eyes at him, and actually, she's like, "Would you like another pie?" Actually, Dig.
Yes, I love this mince pie. It's super delicious.
Hey, I'll get you another. And she grabs his plate and goes up, and as she's heading to the kitchen, she finds her mom.
Okay.
She turns to Anne. Mom, I would like you to work your magic, please, and find out anything you can from that short man.
I'm not a man. I'm
Annie?
a child.
Okay.
I am not a man, but I am a child.
I am no man.
She says, well, okay, I'm sure. I'm pretty
If there's
sure.
one thing Fiona has confidence in, it's her mother's ability to strike up a conversation with anyone.
I'm pretty sure.
And get them to share.
Is there anything in particular you want to know about him, or?
She just kind of like looks back at him from where he's like swaggering back and forth, and she looks at the pile of stones. And I'm pretty sure he has connections to. Lowers her voice. The groups, and I'm just wondering if he'll let you know anything about that.
Okay, and I do want to make sure. I'm pretty sure Alton did not obfuscate the fact that he works with the Meridian family.
I already said that.
Yeah.
When I first joined the group.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that that's clear, because that was like Alton did not hide that fact. Like,
right.
Just like
he's being
just like
shifty
Golden
now,
did
is what I'm
not
saying.
hide the fact that his wife is.
and really quick note too. You would note too that your mentor, Professor Corgan, is also connected tangentially with the Mardigan family. So like, there's no bad blood here, but Alton must be much more important than you probably let on. You probably thought he was just like, a simple,
simpleton
brandish blade, but like he appears to be capable of getting some connective matter. But yeah, she will annoy him. That's absolutely fair. But
So,
go ahead.
When Hezrod regains consciousness, he's just going to keep eating.
Yes.
And drinking beer now.
Yes.
So
there's also coffee. There's also coffee.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's never encountered coffee before, so
how would he
react? Gets some more food in him, and then he looks at the coffee and he's like, gets down on the edge of the table and is looking at it like this, and he smells it, and then he takes a sip of it.
Oh yeah.
And he's kind of surprised by it.
It's invigorating. It's absolutely just, and it seems to just be kind of like energy, liquid energy in a cup, warm.
It's just what he needed.
Fulfilling. It literally could keep you awake till 7.
So is it like hot, or is it like that perfect hot?
It's that perfect hot.
Right. Yeah, he takes a small sip, and then he's like taking bigger sips, and then he drinks the whole thing.
Hell yeah.
And there's a pot, and he fills it up again. And he gets a bigger cup.
He pours it into a tankard after drinking the beer.
Right.
He pours the whole bath of it and just starts swimming in it.
This is amazing.
Accurate.
Absolutely.
I'd do it.
But yeah, she
He's
will.
like, you mean I never have to stop?
She will focus on Alton, but only kind of like superficially. It's not going to. I'm assuming Alton's not going to reveal too much other than what he's revealed already, and that's fine. But I do want to say too, like it looks like Elliot is allowing you kind of like space, and seems to be trying to afford you that space to kind of discuss what you're doing next. As it's getting later in the evening, I'm assuming you'll be fine sleeping here at the tavern, unless you plan on sleeping somewhere else. But that said, discuss amongst yourselves in character, like what the plan is.
So we have uncovered. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say he's in the middle of eating an entire like pie. And he's eating it with his bare. Yeah, an entire pie, and basically a whole pot of coffee, and he's just eating it with his bare hands. And while he's eating, he's got this huge mess on his face, but he's explaining to the others that there seems to be death cults working in the city, and wherever they're at, he's gonna find them and just destroy them.
I concur. There was
a casual conversation over a face full of pie.
Yeah, Fiona immediately like kind of like grabs him by the lapel, which I guess would be his like neck flap, and kind of brings him closer. And and kind of like says like very lowly, I wouldn't use the word cult out in the open right now. We are in the Magic District. And we're in Nock.
So?
I go, what he's trying to say is
Okay.
what he's trying to say is we found the people that we're looking for. There was a bunch of bodies dispatched up north near where I'm from. So tomorrow we can go up there after I get some more pie.
Again, she kind of like
Body's still there.
she kind of like glares at him. Right, of course, yes, and I would be happy to discuss this as soon as. And she kind of like gets up and noticeably moves towards the door, checks around for any other patrons.
No, you have the entirety of the tavern with the exception of the employees and your parents to yourselves. And you'd actually see Elliot kind of notice that and kind of come out from the back and say, if you want us to close up early, we can.
She nods gratefully. Thanks, Dad. That would
problem.
be great.
Yeah, it doesn't look like we've got any people coming out this way. We do have a couple of guests. They might stop in the tap room, but I'll make sure to let you know that they're coming.
She kind of gives him a kiss on the cheek and heads back to the table, more confident now.
And you see Anne kind of like, after having talked to Alton just a couple moments ago and having been kind of pushed back into the back room, kind of looking out. And as Elliot's coming back, he says, "We're heading to bed. Come on." And
don't burn the place down.
Yeah, you pretty much have free reign of the spot. I say Kalena, Kalena kind of stays there, but Lygon leaves.
Which one's Kalena? The tiefling?
No, Lygon was the tiefling.
All right. So Kalena's been there for a while.
Yeah, she's been there for a while. So she's just staying there. If you need anything drink-wise, she can get it and put it on the tab that Elliot told her to kind of... Because Fiona would know the operations of the tavern and the inn. She's worked here before. I mean, she might have worked... She knows how it works.
Absolutely has.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you wanted to admit that to them, but...
She wouldn't admit it.
Oh, for sure. But so she knows the operation, so she would know that Kalena's only remaining to make sure that nothing gets broken, nothing gets stolen, nothing gets taken out of unawares, and everything's tracked.
I don't plan on stealing anything from my good friend Fiona's parents'
I don't
bar.
plan on, but I'm not saying it won't happen.
But is this lady trustworthy? Can we talk freely around her?
Can we talk freely?
In real talk, Fiona, like she's one of those friends that you kind of lost touch with because of profession. Like I don't know if you have those in real life, but like she works with your parents, so you kind of know her, but you don't really like go and hang out with her much because the interests are wildly different. She's into kind of like going out and eating at restaurants like that are in the Magic District or the Golden District that are fancy because she really just enjoys the experience. Where you're more like, I want to learn. And she's like, I don't want to talk about the stuff you're interested in. That sounds boring as fuck. But your friends from when you were in like basic school, it was more of kind of like a, like we're growing up, we're learning, we're both kind of, have similar interests, and those diverted wildly.
I asked Fiona if she can send the worker home, and we can talk freely.
Yeah, I think after a moment, Fiona would kind of walk up and...
Well, she would stay in the tavern, like the tap room. She wouldn't be in listening distance. She would just be kind of over there.
I think she would go up and just say like a polite, like, good evening, and fix herself another drink and kind of make
If you kind of like, engage her, she says, "Hey, you know how to run this, right?" Like she kind of shows you the tab.
Exactly. And Fiona's already like halfway through closing up, and she just kind of smiles at her.
I'm going to be honest. Yeah, I've got a date with Billiam, so I'm going to actually get out of here. If that's okay. If you got it, do you got to watch
the plot thickens.
Despite her best facade, Fiona kind of perks up a little bit at that. You're dating? Have a good night.
I probably will, she says.
Spicy.
Billiam.
Wow.
Billiam getting it.
Do we got a picture of Billiam?
I do not have one, but I will see if I can't find one here to post in
An
the Discord.
OnlyFans?
Hold on, Billiam. In his current state.
Yeah, what happens if you Google Billiam?
Hold on, sorry, hold on. Let me get the.
Fiona,
Amazing.
I think
is there a bath?
None for you.
I'm assuming. What would it be in the city? Like, I guess it would be.
yeah. There's waterworks. There's I mean, like,
Yeah.
there's functional waterworks.
Okay. In
you
each room, or is it like a public thing?
Yeah, each
Like
room.
Avran's got some serious competition.
Each room would have it's kind of, think of a hotel
Okay.
room in real life.
Gotcha.
With the
Gotcha. Okay.
there's working electricity, there's working waterworks. There isn't like
Alright.
TV or anything like that, but yeah,
That's
there's
fine. Avran's old school. He doesn't need that.
pleasantries.
He would just tell everyone, I'm going to bed. I have an early day tomorrow. Good night.
Ooh. You have a date
With Billiam?
already?
smiles.
Is it Billiam?
This fucking guy gets around, am I right?
Yes. Billy.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I think kind of like look at him a little moment. An actual date? I didn't know you were familiar with anyone in the city, Avran.
It's complicated. I'm meeting an old friend.
I go, Fiona,
Oh.
would you like to know where I got these stones?
Her attention immediately snaps back. Yes,
And then I go like this to Tavern.
He's
I
gonna
go, I
walk
found
away.
them on the street by some peddler.
immediately,
That's a lie.
immediately she like gives him a glare. We both know you didn't find 7 stones on the street.
Can we drop the stone thing? What are we doing tomorrow? I'd like to go to the spa, personally. I also have some people that I need to talk to.
Again, Fiona looks confused. You have people you need to talk.
I
What all are you
here.
doing?
My wife's sister's brother-in-law. Is he my brother-in-law? I don't really
Is it
understand
Billiam?
all that. No, it's not Billiam. It's Eric with a C.
Oh,
I was wanting to talk to him to see if he's heard from my wife.
Oh, and then Fiona will turn to do you have any lovers or friends that you're seeing?
Eric is not my lover.
Oh, right.
Malika looks a little bit like, oh my
how
gosh.
dare you?
And she's
It's Billiam.
a lover. I surely do not have a lover. Not that that's anybody's business. I would like. I've heard that Nock has many fine magic establishments. As you well know, my midwifery practice relies on some of the arcane arts. I would think it lovely to see some of the magic shops in the nearby area tomorrow. I know we've got really important stuff to do. We've got to do some investigations. But if there's time, I would like to stock up on a few things.
Do I know of any magical items that he would be or she would be interested in?
Functionally, basically what we're planning right now is our downtime actions. And this is kind of set up in the house rules. I'm posting the link for that here. And I believe that Jizo, who is a bit of someone who's actually had the chance to play with this concept a bit with their other character, they would know that they are probably engaging in the cultivate resources option and looking towards the shop option of that listing. So that said, if you have an idea vaguely of what you're wanting to do, like, for example, Avran wants to meet with Melody Alustair, whoever that might be. Someone who obviously knows who Avran Normack is. So an interesting matter there. We'll see how that unfolds. And that will be their downtime activity, or Avran's downtime activity for tomorrow. You can create items if you have a method or a recipe for a brew, cook, craft, draft, or forge that would help you make an item. I believe the only person in this party, well, we actually might have two now. Malika might have some, but I know Golradier can make some stuff. You can carouse, which is basically just a generic static option. Cultivate resources, fish, fundraise, garden, hunt, research, sell, shop, or study. Basically allows you to effectively find things that you're searching for. And all of those options are available here in the city. If you're taking downtime activities in more of a rural area, some of those options might not be available. And if you were focused on more of kind of like a bookish area, some of those options might not be available. Party is different than carouse in that it is a celebration specifically. Like it is a very large gathering, typically for like a holiday or something to that effect. Party is an action that you'll take as a group, usually, but it can possibly be an action that you might take as an individual. Like Golradier might celebrate a holiday for Halloween, whereas other members of the party, Avran, might not worship that or celebrate that holiday. Recover, if you've been fucked up beyond all recognition. Downtime activity, recover, allows you to kind of build yourself back up from fucked up. Repair.
Like we did with the exhaustion.
Correct. If you make a attack roll and roll a fumble with a weapon, it can start to lose quality, which I believe one of us is familiar with, and that they've broken an item before. If you have an item that needs recovering, or repair rather, you can repair it specifically. Tea Party is an action that is basically a direct interaction with one NPC of your choice that is very formal. In Nock, tea parties are kind of like the high-class society engagement, how you would interact with a specific individual directly. It's a very etiquette-focused thing. It's not we meet, we drink tea, and that's it. It's a very kind of like drawn-out process that actually engages the diplomatic sensibilities of the person. And then train, which is an action that Avran's currently also engaging with, and you are trying to engage with. And this is where you try to train a specific skill or ability and gain a new feature that you do not currently have through the process of time. Avran is training an ability called Punishing Stance, which out of character he will be given the information on once he acquires it. But for those of you who might get this, it is basically a Defender aura from 4th edition.
Nice.
Wow. I think Fiona would absolutely offer to show anyone around the Magic District since she grew up here. She also might be able, I mean, I won't go so far as to say she knows a guy, but she might be able to help haggle a little bit.
Okay. And yeah, when it comes to the shop option, if you're looking for a specific item in the city of Nock, if it's uncommon or lower in its rarity, you can find it. And whatever it is will determine its cost. It's here. Nock is a big city. If you're looking, and you can buy as many uncommon and common magic items as you can afford in a day worth of shopping. Where the shop cultivate resources action actually matters for limitations is if you want to go rare or higher. There's a percentage chance you find it, there's a percentage chance you don't. So if you're looking for like a rare magic item and you roll against it and find it, your whole day is spent searching for that item and finding it. Or if you don't know what you want and you want to just shop at general, you roll on a magic item chart and you see what the gods want you to purchase. Maybe it'll be a little bit cheaper than you thought it might be, but it's absolutely random. Such randomness of wands of wonder and other shit that nobody is actually looking for, but do find inside of marketplaces to purchase. So that's also a thing.
Amazing.
Any questions on downtime activities?
No, but I mean, I do have a few questions as far as ones I'd like to pursue and things I would like to do in the downtime.
Okay.
So,
okay. Well, let's begin. So day 1, downtime activities. The tea party for Avran has been scheduled. That's downtime activity for. Go ahead. Sorry, Chijo.
Before we go to bed,
okay.
Can Malika do a prayer? Are we in private rooms, each individual person?
Yeah, they're individual rooms.
Okay, so Malika would give a prayer to her patron to get some kind of sign to see if there are other.
So my question to you, Jijo, at this point is: do you want me to do this out in the open or in a side chat?
I think I want to do it out in the open.
Okay. So, amidst your prayer, which is something you've done before dozens of times, it's not an uncommon practice for you. Sometimes you get an immediate response, sometimes it takes a while, but this night it's quite immediate. The entirety of the room that you're in, nice and quaint as it might be, becomes shadow around you, fills out with kind of a darkness. That same kind of lingering chill that you've had every time this, process is engaged in, immediately follows. It's might seem kind of unnerving to the uninitiated, but to you it's actually a calming sensation, this chill that takes hold. You see from the inky darkness of shadow a hand emerge, and you see the remainder of the form start to exit out of the shadow in this strange space. Out from the shadow comes a 11-foot tall form. It is clad in cloth and seems to be shorn completely out of gold and metal. Upon its just jagged brow is a carved out rune of arcane importance. Its eyes glow with kind of a green malediction. Floating behind it, its metallic and just arcane form, float two wings, dismembered wings, that appear to be from some sort of celestial being, dripping from the nubs with blood. Its hand outstretched, the same arcane pattern on its palms. You hear its voice, or his voice more specifically. You call for me, my servant.
Yes, patron. I've come to Nock. I have been resisting the Lady of the Deep's henchmen.
Those who seek to malign me.
That's right. And I'm wondering if there are any of our ilk here in Nock that I can approach for help with your commands.
Due to the recent matters regarding these charlatans, most of those who serve have hidden away in old burrows, old hiding holes built deep beneath the city long before its structure. I will give you a name, and I will give you a place, and I will give you a time, and that is all you will need.
Very well. Thank you, patron.
You actually hear the name spoken in your head. Black Adam, ADAM. You then see a place, and you kind of see it from 3 vantage points, which is actually kind of strange, but you kind of very quickly understand. It appears to be a kind of park area. Then you see that it's at the end of a canalway, kind of not too far from where you're located. And you're pretty sure you can get there. It seems like this, I'm going to ping it, would be the meeting point here. Do you see it? Okay. And the time would be high noon.
Ooh. Red Dead Redemption.
As you speak, you call him patron. He says, as I have instructed, will refer to me as I am Duron Balcard. Servant, find the charlatans who wish to malign my name and my practice. Make them bleed.
As you command.
It sinks.
Duron Balcard.
It sinks back into the darkness, and as it's kind of fading away, you actually can see now, because its height was kind of like positionally kind of brought forward to you. You see its crown or halo of eyes floating around the top of its head, and it sinks back into the darkness. The halo of eyes, mind you, are disembodied eyes, not a meat wheel of eyes. There are a lot of eye halos in this campaign setting. I'm sorry.
There really
It's just
Truly.
a really cool, terrifying
I was like,
visual.
oh shit! They say they share.
Me
No.
on
They're
last
fucking-
Sunday trying to figure out.
It's
I
not
love
it.
That
Jonah's like
situation.
expressions throughout the whole
Oh,
process.
Right.
and sorry, hold on.
I was shook.
It was
um,
so good.
Just to let me see if I can't do it here. Add handout.
You have pictures?
Yeah, I've got a
Need to
picture.
see.
Ooh.
I mean,
You're gonna show us Duran Duran?
Gio said they wanted it out in the open, so I gave them what they wanted.
He's a trashy looking Billiam.
Oh yeah, I just posted a picture and it's just like a sex god, man. It's like,
That is our theme.
To be fair,
I mean,
he used
To be fair.
he used to look like that, but he used to be
Cool.
sexy gentleman, but that ended in his form.
Oh yeah,
was
time
made.
gets the better of all of us.
Well,
True that.
not so much time, but summonings into the material plane. That was a hell of a campaign way back when.
Those
man.
trans-dimensional jumps, man, they really fuck up your form.
For sure.
I mean,
What the fuck? I need to organize my doodles.
It's okay.
I love your doodle collection. So
Thanks.
far, they've all been
Same.
bangers.
You
right?
get a doodle for Diggy.
He says, and he says that he's bad at art.
I suck at
Silly
it.
though.
What a freaking liar!
You should have seen the original artwork I used for Avran. It was so much worse. Oh.
Posted in Discord.
And then he's like, "Hey, do you want this?" And then I was like, "Oh shit! Hell yeah!"
And you're like, absolutely yes.
Yeah.
Deal? Oh yeah!
So there's one thing I want to do before we go to sleep.
Yeah.
I want to
Oh yeah.
go into my stone and say good night, everyone.
Aw, good night.
Good night.
Good night,
Or you're
Fiona. I'm talking to you
100%
through my stone. You don't know where I got.
I just like sighs into the stone.
You really are a child.
Oh shit, got him.
Got him.
Fucking shit. I got all of my other demon princes. Oh shit.
Oh!
Demon Prince! Demon Prince!
I'm sorry. Oh.
Lucky Zaddy.
It's okay.
I'm
It's
sorry,
okay.
dude.
We know. Our characters don't know.
I'm sorry, dude.
No, I love the dramatic irony that
Truly.
everyone now, all the players know that Malika has some unsavory fuckery going on, but she's just
Malika
like,
has a zaddy.
My
But
great uncle Diggy knew everything, and he told me in Halfling before he left.
Right. Totally.
But holy fuck, I've got all of my
Nice
other
try.
princes, but not this one.
To be
Oh.
fair, we still think Fiona's a wizard.
I was gonna be. She is. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah, totally.
Fiona's
guys-
just a wizard, and Malika's a great midwife.
For sure.
Exactly.
You guys
Exactly.
missed an epic
Should I be
fender where
concerned?
Hezrod got
mean-
outranked by 2 halflings.
I mean,
That did happen.
Sorter hasn't questioned the fact that Hezrod can use Eldritch Blast as a cleric. He's just like,
Yeah, what's with that? That's a
True.
whole situation.
Destruction domain. He gets it as a destruction domain.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
It's one of the most destructive cantrips that I can think of. So
oh,
It really is,
absolutely
though.
is.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
It's
it
just-
was kind of a no-brainer.
it's just raw force damage, is what it is. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shillelagh
Well, I mean,
was
so is
also
Shatter.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Shillelagh's one of those too.
Frankly, I love Hezrod. I love the destruction
He's
domain.
great.
We
I
do
love
too.
The fucking other spells he's got going on.
So
Yeah.
you sleep.
He's turned into a whole different character since he got his hands on that axe.
No, we're bathing, then sleep.
Bathing, of course,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
sleep. The
Yeah.
again the
Thank you.
the bathing system here, it's very functional, very operationally sound, much better than what you have in Myrrh. Alton, of course, you're familiar with it. Fiona as well. Avran, this is definitely new to you. So
Absolutely.
you're having some moments, and someone actually has to come in and explain it to you. Malika,
I am a grown man.
it is functionally different, but it's structurally similar to what you would have out in the frontier. And Golridir, I mean, cosmopolitan as fuck. There's no issue here.
You know, one of the reasons the spa that he likes is actually more of like a bathhouse, and it's his literal favorite place to go because it's both social and baths, which are two of his favorite things, and you can drink in them. So
absolutely
3 of his favorite things in one.
Could we get some good information at this bathhouse?
That is the point of going.
He also
think I'm
gets to be half naked, which is
so
Half naked. It's a bathhouse. You get to be fully naked.
I will note that like that is not an uncommon process in you know, the city. Like there are definitely
people get naked.
Well, I have the idea that this one is actually partially run by his own enclave.
Gotcha. So
now, would Billiam be there by any chance?
Why?
I mean, maybe.
I mean,
apparently he gets around.
He
well
does.
enough.
He does get down. But slightly late, but better late than never. During Belgrade.
Oh.
It's actually its second form, or his second form after his rebirth. At the end.
That shit is scary.
This is who spoke to Malika.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I
I
really
love
wish
it.
we were sharing a room.
I love the disembodied wings. I really do.
Yeah. So real quick, because I do like boasting. There's a person inside of the Discord. His name is Dieter. He originally played the character Durin Balcard, who was a senator of the country of Meridia. He engaged in some fucking vile shit because the game was called the Evil Game. They just released the Book of Vile Darkness back in 3rd edition, and so it was just out evil the party, and you have to do at least one evil act as per mentioned in the book per session. So it was kind of a hot mess of things that were happening. You know, stealing people, human trafficking, liquid pain. They are the villains, and the goal was to kill them, but they avoided that. They eventually usurped several demon princes. So a couple of the demon princes on the docket are actually just members of that party. Teffington was one of the demon, or was Bobby Peichel, I think, in the game. There was a couple other players. There's Grumnar, etc. But his original character had wings that he'd had on his physical body that were torn off of a celestial, and he wore them. It was a thing that he was able to do with the way we were building characters. And
metal as fuck.
It is metal as fuck. And because in the Dead of Ages Past, which is a game I ran on Fridays before you guys, they effectively brought him back by making an undaunted body for him, or a construct body for him, and allowing him to take it. And that's the body. That is the new Duron that was made by that party.
That's cool.
Love it.
Anywho,
I like Malika.
Sorry, me just
Love
me just
that
ripping
deal.
on my cool shit.
I know.
We love it.
The next day. So I'm going to start from the left. I'm going to move to the right as per what I'm looking at here on Roll20. So Josie, you're first on the docket. Downtime activity for day 1.
Cool. So the very first thing she does, she's waking up super early, like 5 a.m., you know, and she's hightailing it over to where she knows I want to say Alistair. That's where they are. So she can pursue the sword situation and see if they'd be willing to help her.
Do you compare notes, Avran, or no?
Here's the thing. I think in the night before, like before they're going to bed, she would be very, very vague, but she would tell them all
Well,
that she's planning to go to House Alistair. That's what she would say. So if Avran responds, let me know.
Why? Why?
you know what? This is the first time I'm ever going to give inspiration for a one-word statement. But gain inspiration, Jonah.
Nice.
Why?
Why?
He's just gonna look at you dumbfounded and just like he just wants. Why? Why would you go there? For what reason?
She just kind of like scrunches her nose and well, if you must know, they have a sword, one of the 10 houses, and perhaps the master will be able to mold the orichalcum. We can finally break into that door in the area, and I can open this.
Oh,
Just kind
that's
of
why.
statue.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
She furrows her brows. What? Why are you interested? You never care what I do.
No. I thought.
We still have that gold chest that's locked.
Yes, we do.
Yes,
We
and
need that
that
key.
as well. I'm sure that if it can open this, it can open the chest. So
I thought you were going for another reason entirely. But no, that's fine. Go get that sword.
Well,
Yes.
Would any of you want to accompany me if any of you are interested in swords?
Nope. Good night. And then he walks away.
She kind of again like looks after him a little confused, but doesn't press it. She's actually kind of relieved. She didn't really want to bring him, and she heads to. like she kinda wants to do this.
She didn't really want to bring anyone. Let's be
She didn't really want to bring anyone. She was just being polite by saying, "You all want to come?"
What's funny is the feeling's mutual, except he didn't even proffer the offer of like
why?
being nice. He said, "Fuck all that." Okay, so just real quick, Josie, your plan of action is you're just trying to kind of engage with House Alistair. There's no real downtime activity that you're engaging in. It's more or less trying to get contacts.
Yeah, I'm trying to get contacts there, see if anyone would be willing to speak to me. I would definitely try to leverage that I have connections with the library, try to make it this whole like I've made a great discovery I want to talk to you about. And besides that, after she's figured that out, however long that takes, she then would try to accompany Malika with her shopping in the district, like she said she would help.
Okay. So then, Jonah, you are performing a tea party with Melody.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
And
Before we go into that, I just want to describe what he looks like.
Okay.
Instead of just having his hair down like he normally does, he's going to put a portion of it in like a little
man bun?
man bun, and then the rest is going to flow behind his shoulders with the old guard attire.
Very cool.
He's got the apple bottom jeans.
It's not you yet, but
Boots with
yeah,
the fur.
I've got you noted. And then Elizabeth, what is Glorier engaging in for the day?
So Golradier is going to connect with his good pal Eric with a C, that is the brother of his wife's sister-in-law, husband, that, and try and find out what he knows, and then also go to the spa.
Okay.
Also find out information.
Gotcha. So pretty generally just meeting with the person. Okay. Let's see. Chad, what's Ezra doing today?
There are a few items I'd like to probably find, considering they're uncommon.
Yeah, if they're uncommon, you can find them, no issue. And just tell me what the items are, and I'll tell you what the prices are.
Potion of fire breathing.
Potion of fire breathing is 50 gold pieces. No, sorry, 100 gold pieces. What was the next one?
Greater healing potion.
Greater healing potions go for 150.
Common healing potions too.
Oh, common healing potions are 50.
Okay, and last but not least is whatever your equivalent of a Rakdos signet ring is.
Yeah, so that would be a Gnomon signet ring, and they are not for sale. Signet rings are obtained through renown.
Fair. Well, I guess I will. You said it was 100 for the fire breathing.
100 for the fire breathing, 150 for the greater healing, and 50 for the common just potion of healing.
Okay. Well,
Fiona wants a basic healing.
yeah, I'm gonna do 1 potion of fire breathing and 1 basic healing potion.
Sounds good. Moving on. Giza?
Oh, sorry. I have some other stuff I'd like to sell, but we can circle back to that.
Sure. When it comes to selling purposes, if it's in the book, player's handbook, it'll always sell for 1/5 cost.
Mm.
If you're selling magic items, I'd need to address those immediately.
Fair.
Do you have any magic items you're selling?
No. I mean, I'm full up on attunement slots. If I would have gotten my hands on that ring, I probably would have gotten rid of something.
Oh, okay. If you're just selling stuff out of the book, you should be able to mat that.
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
Sounds good. Gizo, you're up.
So definitely going shopping with
That's right.
with Fiona, and I know I have a meeting at noon.
Well, Fiona's not shopping. Fiona is going to House Alistair to try and talk her way into getting a sword she has no purpose having.
Okay. Is that going to happen for the whole day?
She hasn't really said she's shopping at all. She just said that's the main thing she's trying to do.
She said she was going to come back and show us around.
Oh, okay. Then I would assume that would be kind of aftermathy. But the meeting won't be a downtime activity. It's literally just a kind of, hey, how you do kind of situation.
Okay, so at some point, I guess I would just like to look around nearby with or without Fiona if she gets back in time.
Okay.
I would like to try to find a broom of flying.
Broom of flyings are available. Brooms of flying are 500 gold pieces.
Okay, I'm just short. Do you think would like coming with Fiona help me to haggle? Do you think?
You can attempt to haggle. It's kind of an uphill battle out here in the world, though. You can attempt it. It would be a persuasion roll.
Good luck try to help.
Yeah, and assistance is not really something that's going to be offered on a persuasion roll for haggle. Sorry.
Okay. And so the other thing I'm looking for is I want to find a recipe for this item I found called the Potion of Advantage.
What's that from?
It's from the Wild Beyond the Witchlight. I don't know what that is.
Oh, that's in the new book, yeah. Oh, I haven't gotten the book yet. That's why.
It's uncommon.
Yeah, that's fine. So that would be 250 gold pieces for uncommon.
I'm getting that.
Consumable.
I'm getting that recipe and the broom.
Oh, the recipe. Sorry. 500.
Son of a...
Recipes are a bit more expensive because it gives you the opportunity to make it infinitely.
Yeah. So I will wait until I... Oh, you're saying Fiona won't really help me. All right. Let me...
When it comes to haggling, yeah.
Let me make a persuasion roll then.
Okay, what would you
have a rogue?
Which item do you want to start with?
That potion.
The recipe. Okay. Okay. Do you have inspiration?
I do.
Do you want to spend it?
Yes.
Okay. So they're willing to do the recipe for 400. And that's the minimum that they're willing to go on the recipe.
Done.
Okay. And I'm assuming based on that, you do not want to go for the other item.
That is correct.
Okay. I will get a recipe card for you here in a bit.
Okay.
The cost of making a potion of advantage will probably be somewhere in the ballpark of 100 gold pieces effectively to make one of those. And I think, based on what I'm reading here, it will require herbalism kit or alchemist's tools.
I have herbalism kit.
Perfect. Cool. Any other shopping? Or good? All right.
That's good.
Alton, last but not least, what's your downtime activity?
Did my uncle get back with me?
Regarding?
My meeting with, what's his face?
So they
Dante
state
Blackhand.
They state that the earliest they can get you a meeting with Dante, just to talk to him, would be in 4 days.
Okay.
Dante's a very busy individual. The meeting
That's
would
fine.
be at the break of dawn on the 4th day from today, which would be, I think it's Fear, which is the 4th day of a 6th-day, and it would be at the House Mardigan, the main
Okay.
kind of complex.
Oh, and I wake up early and slide 15 gold in the register of the Fiona's parents' cash register.
Okay. And do you have a downtime activity that you want to engage in today? Is there anything that you want to do? Like, do you want to research something, study, buy anything? Is there any kind of items you want to seek out?
Is there any magical rapiers I can search for?
Yeah, so a +1 rapier would be an uncommon magic item, and it would cost you 515 gold pieces to acquire one.
Okay, and I'll try to use persuasion.
Okay, you want to haggle down? Sure. Go ahead, make a persuasion roll.
All right, hold on. Let me close out my screen.
Sure.
Oh man, I got terrible persuasion.
Okay. Do you want to spend your advantage? Because again, I think I granted everyone advantage at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, that means you'll get an 18. So they're willing to do it for 475.
All right, that's fine.
Okay.
I give them 2 of these brilliant rubies and 75 gold.
Sounds good. And so you should be able to go into the compendium, type rapier, and it should have the pluses options there. And if you just drag and drop +1 rapier into your character sheet, it should automatically create an attack card and everything for it.
All right, I'll probably need to learn how to do that.
No problem. So the compendiums, you see like the chat bar on the right?
Yep.
Up at the top, there's like a letter I in a black circle or gray circle.
Got it.
If you type in the word rapier, it'll give you the listing. And then if you grab the word rapier +1, drag it onto your character sheet and drop it, it'll make it in there. Okay. Perfect. I think that's everyone. And so what I will explain is at the end of this session, Avra and Normac, you step into House Alistair and are led by the courtiers into a specific place, led up and then around and then down and out onto a massive kind of balcony. The balcony is lush with grass kind of out in front of you, and there's a stone path that leads to kind of a circular stone circle with a very ornate looking stone table and metal chairs kind of ornately placed around it. The view here is it's intense. You're basically seeing the city in all its splendor directly behind where you're looking, like out in front of you. When you kind of turn to look to the sides, there's just this lavish kind of park field around House Alistair, and the white spires and towers of Alistair Castle are kind of present all and about and around you. It's very breathtaking. And when you kind of walk out towards this metal table, you see sitting at the table and slowly rising as you kind of make your way out onto the balcony led by the courtiers is an elderly woman, probably somewhere in her 90s, kind of rising up, kind of looking over to you curiously. It appears that she does have a walking cane that she's kind of keeping her weight upon. And as she sees you, you see her kind of face twist in kind of confusion. And that is where we'll end the session for tonight. Thank you for watching those that did, and we will pick up next session with the tea party between Avran and Melody Alistair.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for watching.